and Plumed or City Tong. But with this case, XMB going up against what seems to be KFL, it looks like we're going to see Ryoman to actually burn his first life. Now looking to see how long this fight's going to end up going through it. If y'all can hold the ground here for the next 15 to 20 seconds before his team comes back, you can end out ultimate and having them come through to just delete out Noob. But Noob, Bokai trying to get res here. Garcia's trying to go ahead and be that hottie, that annoying hottie with the F2 to be available for invulnerability. And Yaku's just not getting any sort of chances to get any sort of slashes. He gets face plated, he get caught in parry. That's the elimination. That's going to be their first set of lives for KFL. And XMB take 3 eliminations in the board.
Chili's team now going to be going into a fight. Unfortunately, Taliska is already down, so Chili is taking a lot of damage coming on through from the pulse sword on the back of his spine. Nato comes through with that Matari, is going to utilize the charge to RMB and those halberds to put pressure, as well as using the Frost to be able to chase down one of these low players. Will be able to find the kill onto Hypercube's No Sense. Should be allowing for Plumeria to get picked up, and yeah, we can see the grapple, the rotation. They're going to be able to try and pick up that player. We say that, there's actually a fight still going on that they're going to have to contest that space for us. We're going to have a look at WK now going head-to-head with Risk. Early Viper ult, rather Tessa ultimate, getting invested. We can hear the tether going off. That 3-second enchantment going to be setting into motion the follow-up kill onto Risk's Lucio.
Yeah, WK with 4 eliminations so far. Blue Armors on the standby. They got gold now. They probably are too late to the party for the Moonbane. Well, who knows? We'll have to see that. Hex taking fights against WK2 for the second time around. Coco taking some damage out here as Sachiko's going down towards, if I'm not mistaken, straight into the courtyard of the Swen. And if anything comes out towards the Fortress Kaviani, Coco goes down here for that elimination. This is going to be their second elimination from Hex, at least to the extension, right? We're looking at them to have that gold weapon to be available, and if anything comes in, it's going to be in Wooby's hands. If it's Fist Blades, his man's going to pop off. Potentially having to see Cicadas with the gold Fist Blades is nothing to scoff around with. And it is going to just solid, right? The clip of it is going to be the fan. This man's going to R&B spam as much as he can. I know this. Wooby is... He's a menace to society when it comes to it. And this is going to be for them...
Even if a Tammy drops their ultimate, surprise, fan charged R&B doesn't count as range and still goes through the wind wall. Which is something that when fan first released was catching so many players out.
Yeah, for Hex though, they're going towards Camel's Hump. Kind of hoping to see what's going to happen here. I mean, no teams should end up here unless they really aren't in dire straits to look for loot. But for Hex right now, we're chilling out, 2 eliminations. And it looks like the majority of the teams here, total 36 players still in the game. I see an A into the soul, so they're looking to try to find a spot to kind of start off. And for right now, I'm kind of curious in seeing what's happening towards the end of the Dunes. I mean, we saw BWG take the fights against DGB, with our DBG, I should say, and having to go forth and making their way either east or west. Who knows? For themselves, taking first game eliminations. If they find another team, right? We mentioned how the city of Tangor is where a majority of the players end up. Plume Castle is the second most foremost area that players can end up going through. And we're actually going to watch Rex here, or rather with Crybaby's team, and just making their appearance through Plume Castle to see what is up over here.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the rotations that we see happening a lot of this map, especially when that first realm of Yang pops all of the teams of Yang depletion. Probably going to be heading into the central aspects of this map, as Slowy's team just going to be using this deal that's picking up a little bit of resources and some gear. Slow start to this map in comparison to how quickly teams burnt themselves through Podoria. We do have a fight going down between DBG and WK over towards Matab, as we're going to see Tizzy having to utilize that combo break on the Tester to come through. Bainswrath has actually been dropped. This isn't from WK's team, however, so that is going to mean a port out from the Wu-Chan. It's not the great position in terms of distance, but it does get them out relatively unspotted, given the fact that they prioritize verticality over distance achieved, and as a result, the beacon of light was not easily catchable for DBG to spot out.
Yeah, and for now, DBG making their way towards it. Team having blue weapons, hoping to see whether or not they can catch this team out. I saw WKT or WK2 in the vicinity as well, so I'm not sure if it's going to be a scrap off coming through. Coco seems to be in soul form still to this point and having to worry out here, but Mikey finds that Firefly cage, just trying to see, hey, is that someone over there? It's going to go ahead and try to get as much as he can for his raid farm.
This is Cannonball.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Wait, with Yoda. Yeah.
I was looking at Mikey's lid and I was like, wait a minute, that's Farrier ultimate. Hold on a second, that's Cannonball composition coming on through. I am so excited to get to see whether or not they're going to be able to pilot that one into a Realm of Yang win. As we're going to be seeing Risk's team, Kurumi Teva, already going to be burned on out from Rustum to be able to survive all of this pressure coming through. Bane's Ref now is going to be dropped. This isn't from Risk's side, so they, as a result, are going to be disengaging and taking the fight in a position where that AoE doesn't have the chance of dropping on their heads mid-fight. Predator is going to be able to kite out long enough for that ultimate to come online. Will he be able to find the grabs? Yes, he's able to find one onto the Matari. Oh, and a second onto Noob. Kurumi Teva does come through, but it's not going to be enough to be able to save Anako from the kill coming on out. Repeating crossbow is going to come through, and we're going to see XMB's Noob go down as well. Lovely kite came through at the beginning of that fight from Creditor just to be able to get into a better position of using that Tian Hai ultimate. Uses the F1, or rather the F2 parry though from Predator's loadout, but now they have to worry about the third party. Rustum does have that Kurumi ultimate to try and keep everyone alive through it, but they're taking so much damage from the Kylan ultimate trying to bop them out of it.
Yeah, and now it comes down towards XMB to try to look for some fights out to the distance. You know, NPC's running a weird comp, to be honest. Matari zipping in Kurumi. I'm making sure and seeing how much the stain comes out. And that's V1 Matari, by the way. So hoping to see the resets on the skills. Maybe just look for the F3 recast for Kurumi and just try to keep the fights going. But for NPC, going ahead and losing out the teammates, are going to have a SAT fight to end up going through. XMB actually rotating out of here while DBG are going through. Risk is fighting out Warcry. Now this is Creditor's ultimate to come back into play, and now it's gonna be whether or not he finds Warcry, and he does. I'm slapping my notepad if I was Warcry right now, because it comes down towards him getting recaught into the regrab. But there's the R&B, there's the F3 from the Zai, and of course NPC actually gonna be running the Zyphon comp. My bad. We're gonna have to see whether or not Rivi's gonna have enough time to survive here, though, as that Creditor ultimate is still in play for another 5 seconds. And Core as well, just almost in the cut line from Lucio and Rustum going to ground unit duty. We're gonna see Creditor trying to go for the grabs again against Rivi. That's going to be deformation for the Vajra. For Creditor not to close this gap, he has no armor. He gets caught by the uppercut. The F2 parry cannot be used while under attack. He gets the elimination as a result, and this could be the turnaround for a 2v2 because Rivi has ultimate for that Zai.
Yeah, here comes that Zai V2. Kurumi Tower is going to be coming on for as well to try and keep the Tumult alive. It's being able to tank all of this damage. There's the snap for the 90% damage reduction from coming on through. Anako chasing with that pole sword. Zai V2 still going to be in play. Rustum is going to go down. Question is, has Lucio been able to get far enough away from the fight? No. But we're going to be seeing the third party now from XNB, who come in once they've seen NPC exhaust themselves. They waited for the 2 players from NPC to chase down the lone Risks player and immediately just come through and sweep out the Zai.
Swiper, no swipe, and they got themselves 34k gold, and they actually have Romy Yangs be available here. WK2 not taking it, and just holding out to see whether or not we see other fights. Wooey getting eliminated. I saw Squeaky also get eliminated early through, so Hex just getting caught right before that soul's gonna be depleted, and now it's going to be one teammate left for Hex, if I'm not mistaken. KFL take this Romy Yang fight, though. We have PSA on a standby, and that's a comp I actually want to talk about. It's going to be a Matari, a Liam Leu with V1, and if I'm not mistaken, right, I think it's going to be case scenario for Plumeria to rock in here as a support line. I'm not too sure. Ryoman has himself to caught the R&B's Mado on that V2 ultimate for the Matari. Looking for the teleports, looking for the F2s, going for the fist blades motion. There's going to be Mado going again. Ryoman gets dodged out here. He has that teleporter to be up for his team to get out here. Yak forced out for the Keelan guard. Mado gains hot. Has another ultimate. Ryoman could look for time to cast this out here. Gets caught through. Another V1 coming in. That's a V2 Valda coming into that comp for Plumeria. And now comes down Ryoman with the swipes here. Yak having no HP, nothing to live for a couple of seconds. He gets heals off here while Spooner is also on the vicinity for that KFL, making sure to catch her out Mado, as he's going to be possibly the greatest threat into this team comp. There's the R&B. There's a kill. Going to be a 2v3 4 PSA. Getting caught into that Dragon Slayer again. Ryoman just keeps the swipes going out here, keeping the team aloof. Now Spooner is going to be one hit. He's swiped out here. There's going to be another one for Plumeria caught into the staff, and that's going to be where the F3 is enacted. No Stormform proc for Plumeria to live out for much longer, as damage over time is going to be incurred. Hypercube versus BWG. Lexan, the only one left alive here for this team.
Yeah, Lexan, unfortunately, having utilized that F1 just to keep himself alive, is going to be going down. And Hypercube will be able to claim that kill. So we know 2 teams that for definite have Yang depletion and are going to have to take fights to be able to cleanse them. It's going to be pretty difficult as well for both teams, since they are all in compositions, right? Tian Hai Transformers, very, very telegraphable of when you're going to be taking a fight, and if you have to just immediately cancel out of your ultimate because the other team disengages, or you get third party once that ultimate has run its course, it can be very hard to be able to have the damage and burst through some of the sustain that is up in this current meta. As we can see Hypercube in ruins, already going to be taking a fight against KFL. Talisker just getting bopped around the place by the Kylan on the other team. Hardy ultimate in play as well, just trying to find any form of disruption, any form of chase down damage. Talisker is putting so much pressure onto Yak, who does look like he's been able to hold on to his ultimate, but Talisker will be able to find the full run through onto KFL's Windy, and the players and numbers advantage goes to Hypercube's way. Lovely just usage of the fists to set up for his support play to get in more chip damage with the follow-up weapon, and that is Hypercube walking away with the fight victory.
Yeah, into Yushan Ruins. They got 9 eliminations so far for Talisker having gold fist blades. That you've seen the uppercut 2-3. That thing is nasty with the vertical. And now they're going to have that whole rage bar to be filled back up for No Sense in Chile, at least to a majority here. We're almost going to have our ult resetted. And if any teams end up going to Yushan Ruins for some just gear to try to go through, we're going to take a look at the scene about Moonfall Pass. As we can see, Team Crybaby here losing out Rex as the hottie. ZX Blast playing out the Keelan, and then Slowy rocking into Ziping Ying. They're trying to find some resources here, right? Boxes are money, and they're trying to find as many pots as well. You can see some pots right there. I'm pretty sure ZX Blast is going to look to try to break those. But then again, Hex. Whole team is back up into the game. Sachiko, Squeaky, and Wooey. Purple Fan on the standby for Wooey there in the background. He has got common armor for 600 health, but ZX Blast does not want to make an appearance here. He's going to keep sneaky. Slowy, though, on the other hand, if Squeaky sees him, there he goes. I cast a curse. I'm sorry, Slowy. Going to see a res here for Rex, though, and to the backline, and hopefully to try to reposition. But that's a purple armor that potentially gives Hex an advantage for Wooey to have as a Takeda. If they can confirm the kill, because this Shadow is not going to hurt so much, but until then, it's going to be a pressure of 3 teammates against 1.
Well, pressure is going to be something that BWG are going to be feeling. 2 minutes to be able to find themselves a Soul Bloom. Have they rotated to open cave and try to just give their location away and force a team to come to them to contest this spacing? Looks potentially like that is what they have done. Everybody on the map knows that this key has been bought. Is anyone going to rise to the bait is the question, because everyone else is on the other side of the map entirely serve. Oh no. Yeah. Lots of pressure from NPC Siphon composition coming on through. Zai ultimate in full swing. Baby Ruby getting so much pressure onto Hex's Woo, who comes in with a late Cicada ultimate, trying to turn the tide into his team's favor. Temi ultimate on the lockdown, as well as that Karumi armor circle in full play. NPC's Warcry trying to find the setup off of the Zai ultimate into the verticals from the spin, manages to find the Dragon Slayers into that Nezhaz. That's the one thing that NPC were wanting to be able to find for. Unfortunately, third party, or rather, yeah, it is going to be both of these teams breaking away. XNB comes through with the third party onto NPC, and as a result, they're going to just full rotate away. In the meantime, no one is putting pressure onto BWG, and as a result, I think this team might just burn out to Yang depletion, sir.
Yeah, 30 seconds left on the clock, and we actually see PSA get knocked out here. DBG in the vicinity getting the eliminations. 8 so far for DBG, or DBG, I should say, with Dongbon Gaming, and of course, Mikey being able to come through here, the Yodohime having a killer moment there. To be honest, the one chance you see Yodohime pop off, you know, no ultimates come through. And XMB knew fighting out between NPC into the vicinity. And, you know, this is a topic coming through here at hand, but Yodohime can just get countered out here. I think Kurumi just being her biggest, you know, flaw against. And now for BWG, 15 seconds on the clock. I'm not sure how many of the teammates actually were able to kind of process through and picking up a, you know, Soul Bloom. But I think whether or not this is the case, one of these teammates are going to die out here in a zone. They might be getting reses passively. I think Bajeen, I think Lexon's going to be the one.
Lexon's on this door.
No.
Yeah. No, none of... Wait, Zay... Yeah, Zay's down too.
Rest in peace, Holmes.
None of them. They tried to go for the cave bait, but unfortunately, like we talked about, all of the teams were just taking fights entirely in other aspects of this map, as it is going to be WKT. Are going to be challenged. They're not getting this Realm of Yang for free. They are going to be going up against KFL Rayman with the legendary nunchucks. So we've got traditional Karumi Sand Siphon going up against. We'll have to wait and see what KFL are going to be running. We're going to be following the Temi POV to start with, as that sounded like a Hardy cube being set up. So I would imagine it's going to be Hardy, Kylan, and Zipping. Yeah, there's the hoodie coming on from that Kylan composition. Q going to be utilizing that combo breaker, putting pressure onto the Hardy, trying to force that ultimate as quickly as he possibly can. Gets a lovely charge. R&B up on those dual halberds. Still putting pressure onto Ryan and making sure he doesn't get to just sit around this pillar and scale rush for absolute free before trying to turn in on the support. 818 going up very low on this Takeda. There's the Temi ultimate locking on through. Yak caught in the wind wall. Going to be taking so much damage from the purple halberds. With that follow-up, Kurumi on the circle now relying on the Takeda to start to find his footing. We've still got to wait and see whether or not the Fury Shells are going to be utilized. Yes, they are. They're going to be spent on this Kylan, making sure that the V2 cannot just cut through all of WKT's players. Really good staggering of the ultimates coming in through from WKT. But Ryman does still have this Hardy ultimate, and here comes the triple charge swing up on off. Yak looking for the charge. LMB on the dagger is going to go into the grab from that. Takeda has to utilize the combo breaker to get out of the cavalry bloom follow-up, as well as the glider now to just try and get away from the fight, putting himself into the sidelines to heal up before coming into the horizontal hits of this charge longsword. Goes for the vertical, putting pressure onto the players from WKT as Ryman's ultimate is going to be running on out. All of the players have been grabbed up into one spot. We've got 30 seconds left on the board. Is anyone going to be able to actually find a kill? As Yak finds a huge jump parry and manages to move into position to keep up the pressure on 8-1-8 before another Takeda ult can come through.
Now Coco going to be in the recipient ends. You can see Yak going crazy here with the F1, but now it's going to be all in for the whole check against 8-8 with the F1. It's going to be a slam down to an immediate kill elimination. KFL get fully wiped out here. WK2 takes this from Yang, 4 eliminations on the board. And it looks like they're going to be going ahead and getting that legendary armor, getting a gold weapon on standby. Hope to see. And if anything comes out here, we're switching the point of view. WK up against Hypercube. I was going to be mentioning this in the damage in the kill feed, but Hypercube, Draco Storm, they are killing in 11 eliminations at post-second Rummy Yang. So now it's going to be up to Hypercube to take the superseded lead. I'm not even sure who's still left alive by Moonfall Pass. I haven't have a clue about who survived that, onslaught that happened between Rex, between NPC, between everything into that area. But Yak finds X and B noob, and they're going to be in a tassel here while Hypercube makes their way towards Serpent's Pass to reach out. You can see they're going to be chasing out Tizzy T. Yak with the team, Rummy Yang completion, forced to proc healing guard, has himself to have ultimate for another 20 seconds. He's getting healing passively from that zip, and that armor swap was kind of crucial because that's 1200 armor, 1200 health, and now goes Yak down to these swipes. He's going to be consuming HP now, and there's going to go a connection against Noob. Noob having that tree line to save him. The terrain grieved out KFL for a second, but there's going to be Yak going for those swipes, keeping the pressure, having no more ultimate duration, going for the RMBs, and just making sure he can just try to go and force out that Hypercube ultimate, or with the teleporter coming in from Hadi. Now for this case scenario, we got F1 still available. Man's holding it out here, going for the hold check, releasing against Karsa with that Mystic Might. The mitigation is going to be apparent here. We're going for hold check number 2, and we're walking away for that Soul Bloom as the Rummy Yang is going to get rid up here, and that's going to be because of the teammate Windy going down, and the Yak is going to just trying to find the investment here for the R&B release. He gets 1 stack. He gets caught and seen a parry both sides from XMB. F1 to kind of push him back and looking towards Noob because he's in the background, but the R&B from the longsword goes out, and we're going to see XMB just trying to go ahead and figure out the fight scenario against Ryoma, but Ryoma can hold his ground for a couple of seconds longer, but with no combo breaker, there goes the R&B. Karsa finds elimination. It's going to be XMB's 10th elimination into the lobby.
Yeah, XMB able to walk away with the win. KFL unfortunately forced to take a fight with the Yang depletion on their heads, just hanging over like a threat at the back of their minds constantly. XMB very much loaded out in terms of this loot. As a result, as well as that Mystic Might, it's going to be up for another 1 minute 20, so they're going to have all of the information on all of the players around them, specifically potentially players of Hex who are going to be starting to rotate and potentially pick a fight against this team. We can see that Hex definitely saw a player. I'm pretty sure they saw Noob looting up. We're going to see Squeaky actually having to just immediately take a fight against WKT, who are also in the area putting pressure onto Hex. They're going to get caught out now between these two teams. Karumi Teva already invested from the side of Sachiko to make sure that everyone is going to be able to kite out into the open space and use the Karumi armor circle. We've still got one recast. As Takeda ultimate is going to be starting to come on through. Squeaky trying to find the parries. Throws out the Wisp, throws out the Temi ultimate, looking to find an isolated environment for Hex to be able to just run away from Goldfish Bowls, the players on their tail, to give a full reposition rotate for the team of Hex. Has it been spotted out? I'm not sure. Where did we see the rotation with the team with Mystic Might take them? Do they know where Hex are currently running to?
We'll have to see, because XMB is locked in, and there is no ultimates available for Hex right now. I mean, the heavy investments right there might have cost them a little more as Junction. That's why they're taking Forbidden Seal as a location pattern here. For level 3 swing, Squeaky has to charge up. He has no grapples. He's got 3 high healing berries, and he has 8. We'll make that 4 right now for that 1 there. And getting repair chest on the back line. But for right now, with no grapples on standby, we're switching this one over towards the east side of Plume Castle. Hypercube taking out some range shots against Team Crybaby. Looks like the team fully was able to get back up. Remember that each spear well is on the map. With Reaper Charms, it's not like how Morris Blessings, once the box closes, you can't pick up the Reaper Charm. For Spirit Wells, finding them on the ground, if you know exactly where they are, you can pick them up on the path and just getting your team back in. Whether or not that's going to be the case from Team Crybaby, we'll have to see. WK2, though, up against XMB, taking fights out here. Gold Fan still on to 8i8. And this is a 4 elimination game that they have so far. Now, for WKT, they have Gold Longsword as well as Gold Fan for the Takeda.
I think that was the Flamer too that we just saw him showcase.
Yeah, if he's holding on to that, he's going to be holding out for just having Temmie to get that lockdown with the Westeros. And I'm looking at the ultimate here. That's a D3 spot. So it will be a deletion tactic if it comes after 12 seconds. The duration lasts.
Well, they've seen the Forbidden Seal. They know that there are players there. They've now had the shots in the back, so they know that Slowy's team is over here, and they are going to have spotted those blue armors. The problem for them is that they're currently the team in the middle, which means if a fight picks up, they're the team that's going to get third-partied. Even if they have the better loot, they have to make sure that XMB do not have the confidence of trying to take this fight, because if they look directly at one team, it opens up the team on the other side of them. So as a result, we're not really going to see full committal. It's just going to be swaps over to the range to put enough pressure onto the teams around to stop a fight from occurring, so that WKT can still control this area, can still see the teams rotating past them, and can still also manage to compete for the shop in the space, as No Sense is going to be showing off Twin Shot Bounce Shell, as well as the fact that this team, entirely uncontested, just picked up a Spirit Well for free. That being said, the second that the dome breaks, No Sense is going to get swept up inside of Temmie Wisp, but there is 0 follow-up, 0 punishment on the zip. And Hypercube are going to be getting hyper-aggressive off of all of the loot that they just grabbed.
Yeah, and they're retreating towards the Cinnabar Valley, trying to take that building for their own safety net. XMB in the east side of Cinnabar, so they're able to find out any sort of back-offs, type players where they're just going to go ahead, back away, try to disengage, try to go for a reset, and they can catch them, without any sort of, reclamation. Of course, if No Sense has it in them to be that front line, we'll see it. Twin Shot Bounce Shell has 4 repair chests, has common rarity, so there's going to be a Rupture Gale on that standby. Armor Swap is trying to keep. Yep, he's trying to get that position because this circle is going to be realized. You can see actually with Team Crybaby, they'll be able to notice this armor swap coming in here. If they want to snag that up, they'll be able to do so. They got blue armors across the field, so that's a resource management issue that's going to be coming down if it gets stolen from that team for Hypercube. Now, as WK2 take this high mantle spot, there is a plethora of debuffs here, even into the Valley of Thorns, right? We have to understand that within this area, there's 2 types of field effects. We have the Sand Cognacs, gives a deletion of the energy on hand, which is a little fruit, or the little fruits. We're gonna say the foliage over there, but there's also shrooms on the southern side of this ridge. So while that movement is going to corner off a lot of these teams towards the vicinity of this area, 8i8 just has to hold this down for as long as he can before the teams are kind of looking to try to force themselves in a spot. But that Spirit Well is going to show up here. I'm looking to see what that buff is, if it's going to be Mystic, if it's going to be White Tiger's Prowess. I think it might be White Tiger's Prowess. I saw a little hint of the little, little RAR XD little symbol. I'll stop.
I think you might be right. I can't tell because Yak's body is blocking it. We'll have to wait and see who's going to be able to pick that one up, as it is going to be a war of attrition currently coming on through from WKT. Hypercube going to be rotating, and we're going to have to wait and see whether or not these teams are going to be able to cap that Spirit Well uncontested, or if it is going to be going down to an absolute slugfest between all of these teams in the area. We do still have Temmie's in play too, so keep an eye on that Temmie ultimate. You're right, it's Mystic. It's not White Tigers, but still, like, the fact that you can just immediately grab that buff and get your ultimate back is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and what's crazy too is that proximity shots, right? Cannons versus cannons, and Twin Shot, I see the value now. I didn't like Twin Shot for the longest just because it's a huge resource, depletion, Jade that comes out because it's double the cannon shots. That means you can only shoot out 5, but with the double, proximity, allowing for your team's, range to be counteractive against other cannons, having that extra little cannon, proximity shot can really just help, securing no hits against your team, because if a Rupture Gale burn hits everybody, that's everybody losing HP. But this pillar right now is taking its home set. Someone's going to get evicted here very soon, because the swipes from the pole swords would be absolutely nasty. But we see WK2. The WK2 took the Spear Well buff, so they're having Mystic Might, and they're going to be going ahead and going on an aggressive route.
Yeah, there's the Temi ultimate, making sure the WK2 are going to be able to secure that one. The second that they pick up the buff, they get their ultimate back up, and there's the Flamer that we said to keep your eye on. It's coming out from No Sense on that Z-Ping. Has anyone been locked up? Doesn't look like the Temi Wisps have been able to secure enough of a kill, but everyone in the area is going to be under pressure from WK2 because they have all of the ultimates currently in play, and we can see on the north side of this zone, there's the second Temi ultimate from WK2. And his Q is going to be trying to find these Wisps. Manages to get one huge one onto Slowly as well. This Zip surely is about to go down. There's the kill coming on through. There's still going to be WK2 managing to find a kill. There's no follow-up as well on the side of the other teams around them because they know this is a team who has the buff, this is a team who has damage reduction, and also all of their ultimates, barring that Temi, to be able to immediately pressure them right back. And you do not want to try and face one kill and have your entire team eliminated for that too far forward push of aggression. As Q is going to be showcasing his own Flamer, putting pressure on the top of that pillar to make sure that, as you talked about, no one has the space for free. Evictions are very much coming into season, and here comes the rent collect. Q with the Wisps catches absolutely everybody, and now it's an absolute panic as all of the teams have to pop the ultimates. Keelan V2 gonna be coming on out. WK2 not feeling any consequences, any pressure though, because that Karumi F3 Tether is gonna keep all of them fully topped up before they showcase that not only were they able to pick up the Spirit Well, they've also got Aurora Burst on the field as well, and immediately so you just see all of the other teams in this area take one massive step backwards.
Yes, and knowing how that Wisp was playing now, X and B are in shambles because of that play, and now is going to see No Sense actually feeling the pressure of that Wisp. There's going to be the Flamebreaker. She almost getting eliminated. There it is. Elimination coming up from Coco from WK2, finding that bow shot in the thick of the things that were just occurring. Now the double R&B comes up for the fan, and that's a hottie. That's an ultimate just to take it frame one once all the team was ready to go here. ZX Blast taking a lot of points here where he has no ultimate the online. He's in the zone. He is dead, and that's going to be the Temi ult to come out here from Key. Has himself for that V3, so if he walks through that circle, he's going to be going ahead and losing his F skill. But there's going to be the teleporters again and again. He gets that soul and go and loot up the body and having enough chances to kind of work out here, but he's losing a lot of HP. He's going to have to burn one vitality here for this end game and hoping to see whether or not he's going to land this Wisp throw. So, of course, having to be going off of this end and hoping to see whether or not Key's going to be getting themselves across the board of just going and being that Temi that's a threat, right? The Flamebreaker comes out here. Taliska's getting burned. You can see X and B Bokai into the background with the crossbow bolts going off in this end. Now, Key's going to go ahead, get caught by the double twos, forcing F1. Hex, on the other hand, they're at 7 eliminations. They have purple armors. Wooey's getting a lot of pressure here as it's indicated. Has ultimate, has the F1 to come out here to get a hit, and the blistering edge knocks him away into the zone. Double hit, getting the F2 investment for the hottie. And now comes out for another one, and every single horizontal is being spammed from Squeaky, and everybody's going to be caught by the burn. The teleporter's used, though. And while Squeaky has his chance to have ultimate ready, he is holding on for dear life and making sure that this is going to be used in the final moments into this round.
That's 8 hits of blistering, 9 hits of blistering coming on from Squeaky. Every single huge double parry as well off of the pulse sword. Unfortunately for him, he is going to have it taken out of his hands now. He does have the combo breaker on that Temi, throws the Wisps to be able to recover his status. And as a result, is not going to feel all of the pressure. Still manages to find the kill as well, but here comes the Aurora Burst still in play from WK2. And all of the teams in the area have to respect it. Squeaky now putting himself under pressure with the position, puts himself a little bit too close to the edge of the zone, gets forced out by the charge. R&B on this halberd, throws another combo breaker and puts himself onto the rooftop to start trying to scare it up into the sky so everyone can avoid all of the pressure from WQT up on the low ground. KU is going to throw in that Wisp, trying to catch on to players, manages to catch on to Hypercube's Chili before swapping on over to the Flamer. Hex's Wooey is going to spot out what the Temi is trying to do and puts pressure in with that Takeda, but it's Taliska and Hypercube who are going to be able to, with the grab of the Soul Bloom, walk away the last team standing.
That's an insane game coming through here, and everyone had their fair share of fights. To finally, we got an end game circle. You know, no White Tigers prowess Brock coming into the game where we just say, "Oh, okay, I guess we're in the lobby." And now, having that motion, Sand Siphon making its appearance and getting up against the Keelan comp. And one thing too is that the terrain at the end circle was at a slope. And as much as the Keelan kind of comes out here, the moment you get knocked away, maybe from an attack from Keelan's 1.0 slash, will just end up going ahead and proving how much of a threat he can be into those type of situations. But we're going to go to a break after this round, and we're going into round 3 for Morris for midday just a bit.
界冠军赛300赛总冠军，速回初心，战至巅峰，属地论道，问鼎群雄。
王者归来，让我们恭喜！
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back out here for round 3 into the Shadowjade Trios Finals. My name is Severio, alongside with Got Moxie, and we got the scores to make sure to keep you guys standing and looking at where we stand. No pun intended. You know, we're going to take a look and see about where the competitors are at, because Hypercube had a baller game last game. They got themselves a multiplier, and they earned that first place, and they're in the total first place with 33.3. Now, BWG having that game to have a little bit of slow point position, but they have 30.1 after that, you know, monstrous game from game 1. WK2 takes into the third place with 19 points, and then 16.5 for actual NPC with 16.5 there. Hex is in 5th with 14. Got a little bit more points than they earned into that first round for the second one. But now we're entering into Moore's Isle into midday. So I'm kind of curious in seeing where they're going to go ahead and force out fights between their competitors, because like we always mention, there's always at the list, risk takers can take some things into Moore's Isle more than other teams that can actually go forth into this game.
Yeah, and I mean, you and I, we were talking about it during the break. Hex is one of the teams that was definitely favorited to be getting one of those 2 positions that the players are going to have to go to China. And Morris Isle allowing them to play for that Viper composition, which we are in both agreement is their strongest composition. I feel like this is going to be the turning point for Hex. Either they do incredibly well in game number 3 and use that momentum to move into the second half of the day with, or it all goes pear-shaped and they're not quite able to recover. So this is, in my eyes, the most important round for this team.
Yeah, and the dexterity of the picks is going to be something to keep in mind with, right? Because phases and being able to be the first phase team and having to be force fed into a comp that you may not have as much benefit with it with your team, and then going towards rounds 2 to 3, and then finally being able to have that opportunity to have it happen, it repeats itself once we hit into round 4, right? Where they're back into phase 1 and to make sure they can go forth if they don't feel comfortable about it, but then they hit into to round 6, then they can have another chance. We'll have to see how these teams operate onto, because Morris is going to have no Fireflies except for the caves if you're going towards the Council Courtyard or towards the Ephemeros one. And if teams want to take any sort of Realm Yang fights, to be prepared for that, that early game loot is going to be so precious. I mean, Golden Tortoise is a position where they can find loot. If it's gold rarity, they'll have more troves to be available. Then we have Breezy Maze just to have troves there into the Moonlit Courtyard, where that's going to be a high tier loot area. Mohizum Haven, southern of that, even further near to the northeast of Shadowjade Mine, that's also going to be a spot where we've seen teams such as BWG drop into. So if anything kind of leads out towards those players and spawning into that area, it's going to be contested. Some teams love contesting. We saw Hex get contested by WK2 into the Salvation Podium last round. Didn't work out for WK2 for the first character to fall, because you saw the Ballista was in use from Squeaky to get those shots. But then even to the Morris Isle, having to look towards even to the Sunwing's Rest, some teams take fights over there just because of the high loot potential into that circle, where there's a bunch of poison streams to be around, but with the gold troves and with the frequency of them across the tree houses and even to the ground, if a team loses that, they'll end up going towards even to the west, towards Alchemist's Cottage, even to Victim's Haven, because even into that position, you got to keep in mind about the economy, guys. The macro gameplay is so important into Morris Isle, considering that when you have as much boxes as you can kind of muster of understanding where they are, Triforce Junction being included into that mix, it's just something to keep in mind about where your team stands best from the drop of the game.
Yeah, I mean, that economy is really important in a Model War for all of these compositions, right? If it's a Siphon, you want to be able to get the purple armor as quickly as possible. If it's a Decatur, you want to be able to ramp up that V3 power. But for all of these teams as well, Bane's Breath, we haven't really seen all that importance being put on being able to grab these Bane's Breaths incredibly early on, but on Morris, especially in terms of like teams dropping Shadowjade so they can run through all of the Destructibles, or even going Money Spot, also known as Artisan's Grove, that is always hotly contested in pro play because of the 3 warehouses, the top, the bottom, and the middle, where you can run through all of those boxes, get a lot of loot, but a lot of money to be able to pick up some Bane's Breaths and either use it defensively so that you can recover and stabilize your team, or use it incredibly aggressively to lock down a lot of these teams and make sure that you don't have to worry about third partying into your first fight, because a lot of these compositions need that first fight to go incredibly well. If you lose and you have to go into a state of recovery, a lot of the time your rotation is a lot less aggressive, and you actually end up putting yourself into the corruption tick to go into spaces where people have not looted, and you're not going to run into teams until you're ready.
Yeah, and then even the mention of that, DBG being the ones to be able to use Bane Breath last game, we're going to actually see a team update roster with Hypercube. Taliska's going to be swapping out here for Kong Hai. That actually makes me think that they're going to get seen the Tian Hai to be brought out here. Kong Hai has been probably pretty prevalent onto that. But fights are beginning out here from the service ground now into Shipwreck Expanse. PSA taking the fights up against DBG. Knight goes down here, and that's going to be a solo pickup for the Zai. The F3 is available, and hopefully to see whether or not the pressure is going to come out here from PSA for this game.
Yeah, Mado on that side, almost already at that first use of V2. Shipwreck, one of those spots that a lot of teams like to run into immediately for all of the loot popping as well as destructibles, as we are going to be seeing Rustum over towards Eventide Temple going head to head, getting put under pressure. The Viper, unfortunately, not going to have the silence available. It's going to be a huge parry coming on through. On the outside, looks like Rustum was just the sacrifice so that Creditor and Lucio were going to be able to put themselves onto the rooftops and try to recover. ZX Blast and Slowy's team coming on through with the Tumult ultimate early on. Slowy losing all of his armor will go immediately down to NPC's team. They're going to be able to take the Temi down and potentially turn on to the recovering players of Risk, who I believe is still in the area.
Yeah, Lucio's kind of holding to the background, but Creditor going to be over ahead into the north side. I could see his low position going towards the Burning Pagoda. WK1, though, with WK Gaming, they're going to be spotted out here. NPC has a lot of good gear working into this. Blue Fist Blades as well as the purple armor for Anakor, and his ultimate's just about to be ready. The Zypin versus the Kadi comp. Going to see the parry coming from Anakor. TZT gets denied with the F3 shot coming in. The teleporter's already set up here. This is going to be that preemptive notion that we see from Baby Rivian. There's going to be the slash number 1 from the Keelan. Anakor picks up that soul and dodges out the Matari F, going straight towards the Kurumi, getting his slash number 2 and looking to try to lock her into the building here in the corner, and she's looking for a window so they could jump out here. That's the eliminations. NPC is taking 4 eliminations so far. Tizzy T caught out here as he get spotted, gets knocked out here with that 1.0 slash, and then Healer Guard is forced out, but that is going to be the F2 Matari to disengage. Tizzy T makes his motion into the northeast of Eventide Temple while the chase is on from NPC.
Well, Aniko can still keep it up with those Fist Blades, managing to match the Matari's movement. We've been able to lock the Matari down. The grapple comes on through as the zip comes in with the back hit. And that is going to be NPC managing to pick up the kill and finish off WK's team, giving themselves not just so many kills right off of the rip, but also a run of the mill when it comes to all of this loot. Then Eventide, Spoon and I are going to be throwing those whips, trying to grab a player on XNB over up in Graveyard. Repositions with those dual blades. Mate are going to be covering for his team with that V2 as a Bane's Breath has been utilized. I do not believe this is Spooners though. Looks like it was XMD coming on through trying to lock the Size team down before the Temi ultimate could be burned. Spooner still has not utilized it. Is going to throw in with those dual blades. Takeda shoves and those Furin coming on through. Now we get to see the Tumultuous ultimate. Now that Plumeria and Mado are low and Mado's ultimate has burned on out. Spooner just trying to hit all of these players into the wind wall to give them all of that stagger for his team to be able to find the follow-up. They will be able to put enough pressure onto this Kurumi that they're going to be able to take Casa and Noob down as well. Very good kiting pathing coming on through from Spooner's team to be able to disengage the Bane's Breath and set themselves up in a place where the Temi ultimate would be able to lock the entire enemy team down.
Yeah, and PSA going to be having that amount of gold to work into before the purple armor starts to spawn into the shop. So hopefully they can try to gather one for Plumeria or for Spooner. And considering that Plumeria is going to be a ground unit and there's no combo breaker for that zipping, it's going to be Plumeria actually finding that purple armor from one of the bodies. Spooner now going to be able to go ahead and be fully slotted in for the purple armor as that mitigation factor comes through. Now, of course, Hex taking fights against Crybaby's team has Slow is going to get forced out here, and this is going to be a notion whether or not he was able to get away from NPC's team. Now, for that position, that means there's going to be fights into the northern side. Sachiko going ahead and getting eliminations against Slowy. This is definitely going to be not in the northern side, so it looks like it's going to be towards the Shadowjade mine. And it's got a really big spot that they could actually spawn through here. This is actually towards the Sigma mine, more importantly, where Hex is going to have their first elimination be earned there. They haven't lost their first set of lives, so they're just looting here for free. And for Shadowjade having a lot of spots here for a lot of boxes to be broken, but also to have the secret room with the gold troves, just to have Hex to make sure they can get as much as they can before they burn out here, especially with that area into the southeast with the pillar. They'll be having this game to just work into having a investment of just economy for this game so far.
Oh, that's already group heal that Sachiko's been able to find. You slot in advance heal and that zip is gonna be doing so much sustain for his team. They're gonna pick up purple armor for Wooey, so that Kylan is gonna be pretty durable when they do start to head towards the realm of Yang, before we're going to see them probably just push through the entirety of Shadowjade, like you said, sliding through that room into the secret location to be able to pick up those legendary troves. As WKT very much having to recover, having lost the rebirths of both their Zai and their Matari. Only one kill on their Kurumi as well. It's not been the greatest start to this game. Unfortunately, not able to find that amazing momentum that they had on the previous Holoroth. Running through all of those barrels, getting a little bit more money to the name. Purple weapons already on the Zai, so the ultimate is going to be doing a nice chunk of damage. The problem is the damage reduction, or the lack thereof it, on that Zai ultimate, which is the reason why Kurumi has slotted into this composition so seamlessly, being able to cover one of the big weaknesses of the Zai and how easy it is to be able to just melt her down. Now they're going to be taking a fight. The F3 going to be coming into play. There's the Kurumi Teva, so 818 can start putting a lot of pressure in the forward position. They are up against a zip team, so that burn has done a lot, by the way, of being able to block through a lot of this sustain from the other side. Kurumi on the circle comes into play, but they just were not ready for it. The Teva had already been utilized, and Hex absolutely melt them down in a matter of moments. Oh my goodness, what a monstrous amount of damage.
The amount of control coming in from Fistblade horizontal just to lock it down and giving Squeaky a free level 3 slash just came out where WKT were on their reset game towards Baron Pit. That was the area I was talking about, the pillar in the southeast corner. And I was like, man, I wonder if Hex is going to be able to spot these guys out. And that is going to be the deletion that is going to come through here from WK2. Now, as the zipping is just going ahead and kite out, this purple weapon selection has now been granted to Hex. Gives them full value to get to the nearest Realm Yang portal and start camping out for that, because now they got Pulse or Dual Blades. They have the scaling to make this happen. And for Hex getting more eliminations, which means more gold, more Dark Knight coins, they can just keep that one camped out to the shop for the future in case of anything happens where they need to get rests for the teammates, or rather just to get gear into the upgrade sphere.
Yeah, I mean, if Squeaky gets blistering as well, there's going to be a lot of pressure on these teams running that zip. Really good stuff coming through from Hex as well, understanding that the Zai Every was coming through and making sure to position so that not a lot of players did get hit by that one, and as a result, 8 to 50% healing effectiveness cut that accompanies the fire debuff. As we're going to be having a look and watching WK potentially taking a fight against Hypercube, who are in the area. Are we going to see this actually break out into a scrap, or is this very much just going to be posturing on up to be able to control the entrances for the Realm of Yang, which is going to be spawning right up next to them? Neither of these teams really wanting to open up with ultimates. As a result, looks like WK have noticed that Hypercube are in a much better position in terms of that overarching loot. And as a result, they're the ones who are forced to wide rotate around.
Now, WK Gaming, I mean, they want to take the Realm of Yang. They have to take the slot, but Hypercube is going to make sure that one of the teammates is going to be locked away from that Realm of Yang portal. That's the case. Double purple armor for Hypercube, so far for No Sense and Kong Hai, and that's going to be a Wei Shan for Kong Hai playing out. They're going to instant enter this. This gives WK Gaming an opportunity of wanting to run it through here. They are in one of the 2 or 3rd rooms up against DBG. And with blue armors on both sides, the mitigation is going to be around the equal terms. It's just about how much control, how much DPS can come out, if they're going to be able to capture the skills, the weapon selection, and even pick up the weapons from parries. Who knows? Because WK going to this guy, we're going to see TCT make sure he's motioned as a Matari is going to be had. No grapple stagger there, but Ku's going to get a horizontal charge up with the longsword, denying the chase from TCT, having the hold down technique here with the F2, catches the knock-up, looking for the Temi circle. It's now going to be avoided, at least for a couple of seconds. Jin Shen going to be coming out here as the Zai, not proc. Oh yeah, here's the Matari ultimate, get that reset for the F3. Now Jin Shen can look for the ultimate for the reset for the F with no loss of value, and hoping to hold the F2. There's Tizzy T. As you can see, the parry belt comes through here. I saw that. Is that going to be a Transformer team with the team? Okay, we're going to double check and see that. That's going to be Tizzy T looking for the F2, looking for the RMBs, crouch LMBs, gets stopped by the Clink, looking for the 1-2s, and hoping to avoid this. He got caught by the knockbacks, and the Kurumi ult's out to play here for that V2. Tizzy T having no skill set to save his teammates. Gonna go for a manual heal here. You look at sort of horizontals from that longsword. You can see the fan coming into action here. Knight gets almost caught by the horizontal. The Kurumi ultimate almost to catch that parry as it comes to the full focus. Knight gonna have that Tianhai ultimate to come out, and now it's gonna be the ultimate investment that's gonna be coming through here from DBG.
Yeah, but ZDD is still holding on to all of that sustainability. WK were the ones that ulted second, and as a result, they have so much sustain. Jinshin has been grabbed up. Unfortunately, DBG's Knight looking for that double grab will not be able to find it, and as a result, the Zai is actually able to slip out of his hands before it can actually come through. No throw, no stomp. Now he just has to go for the single grab, but he just doesn't have enough health. That pump managing to find the kill onto the Zai, greeting for the double hit serve just meant that he didn't have enough damage to find any follow-up. Now Chili on this Hardy, the last one standing for Hypercube in a 1 versus 2. Who's he going to be able to find? Puts himself into the sky, first of all, to get a little bit of reset. Spooner and Plumeria trying to find the grapples. to keep up the pressure onto this Hardy, as this ultimate and triple charge state is still going to be putting a lot of pressure on them. And as a result, no one is actually going to be able to find the win. Two teams are hit with Yang depletion, and we know what that does to the aggressive nature of these lobbies. Every single team that has Yang depletion is going to be out looking for blood, looking for a fight. All of the teams who have Vermilion Birdsmite can capitalize on the aggression, on the third party opportunity. But serve all of the teams who were lacking in loot and trying to hide out of sight, out of notice, they're going to be running for the hills.
Yeah, 7 eliminations Riss is taking in here. Congrats Sunbelt Dwelling getting chased out here by WK Gaming. And WK Gaming having that gold fan on Jin Shen for the Zai, having that Kurumi tether active so that way no poke damage can really affect him as much for the loss of armor. It's still going to be going through and getting that force on. The F3 is invested here from WK. Now Predator looks to see about that one. F1 is down for him. Now it's back up, but he has at 84% for his ultimate for the Liam. Now, Predator goes for Soul Break. Dizzy T was anticipating and capturing out with the F2, and now they're going to be the best ultimate we've seen so far. Rustum going to drop through here and try to lock down for a stun. Jin Shen maybe not having the Kurumi tether, but that West throw coming in here as the backline comes in the sort of play from KFL. They are looking to snag out as many kills as they can. Soulbloom coming through, maybe, hopefully so for Predator to find that knockback. There's the heal back. Predator looking to try to scare rush this guy, try to keep his momentum away from his opponents as Wendy's trying to look him down, and that's going to be the Oryx Sword number 2 to be casted out. We have another one ready to go. Rustum looking to try to go ahead backline here. KFL Yak looking to try to delete DBG. Mikey is going to be having his F up for the Whisk throw. He's looking to try to find it out here. Knight looking for the hold check. Yak going for the crouch LMB, gets caught by that long sword vertical release, and now Ryoman looking to try to capture out DBG Knight, the second Tianhai. This is a rare case instance between two Tianhais in face value, and they're going to be fighting out to this cliffside. Risk still to the distance, could be coming back for an engagement for part 2, because whether or not KFL is going to be getting these eliminations, you're going to see a double grab to be occurred, and DBG are going to be locking themselves out across this cliffside.
DBG manages to find another play. He's looking for the double, will not be able to find it, has to just go for the base slam. Riemann also going to be able to find a base slam. Knight getting one last shove onto the opposing Tianhai before the ultimate is going to go away for Riemann's team. Knight now out of his own ultimate. Ku's already down though, so how are DBG going to be able to turn this one around? Answer is they're not. KFL's Windy comes on through, finds the follow up and finish with that fan. Hypercube going to be able to take down Riemann and Windy at the same time as Mikey turns around, tries to hit them with the 180 meter dump as they grappled onto him, but he is going to fall, did not have the health to be able to fully lock in, and as a result, Plumeria, Spooner, and Mado are going to be able to walk away with those kills. As in the distance we can see KFL's players with the Vermilion Birdsmite making their way back to the Soul Altar, because they just have to treat that like a rotation and reposition.
Yeah, 10 eliminations for PSA so far, working out this Zai Temi comp, and now we're going to see WK Gaming TCT up against Hong Hai from Hypercube. It looks like this is going to be an old investment for that Farius Shen as a cannonball, maybe potentially, and seeing the value of it with Chili actually on Aero Mech. There's going to be Hypercube swapping in Taliska, like I mentioned, is Hong Hai's position as the Weishan. Minute and a half under for Hypercube to get rid of Rebel Yang depletion, at least for Chili in this case. Since we're going to see ZDD actually having that tether active, mitigating the damage, and keeping it alive for a teleport if he needs to regroup with his teammate, and he does. And it's going to be an army heal that's going to not waste time, it's going to be used for the reset, but no pressure can be done in that duration. Chili actually finding Rustum though into the zone, and that ultimate's about to be at 75%. They find elimination. Rustum's going to have another Viper ult ready to go for this next fight, because we still have more fights to happen for third parties. WK is just holding on here in the background, like, he's like, hold on, let him cook. Because now the LMB comes out from Lucio as the Cabloom gets released.
Viper.
Rustum finds himself the V1. The stun has occurred. Lockdown for Chili. Lockdown for the other kill. And this is going to be where the NPC actually losing out Realm Yang depletion. And then Lucio finds it out for Hong Hai. That's going to be WK getting elimination from Hypercube. Now Lucio is going to try to find the teleporter to set it up here. WK not having Matari ult just yet, but ZDD not having the Kurumi ult is going to be the more crucial factor here. But Lucio backs away here towards the Immortal Temple inside of Celestra and just keeps fighting out here as he potentially could just go ahead and have his team to escape.
Yeah, Rustum still alive, is able to find an armor swap into blue, which is absolutely huge. Creditor also still going to be up. Lucio ducking into Celestra to be able to cut noise and avoid any potential pursuers. Will be able to guarantee that Risk live another day. Hypercube going to be taking the opportunity to grab Hong Hai back into the mix. Have to be careful that they don't get spotted out, however, by WK, who are going to be gatekeeping the entrance into the safe zone. Matari Dash is going to overshoot, not be able to find the connection onto the ferry, but Kang Hai is still going incredibly low. And as a result, they're going to have to be very careful about how they rotate into this one. In the meantime, we've got Hex going head-to-head. We'll have to wait and see who exactly they're going to be fighting inside this realm of Yang. This is the Cardi composition. It is going to be Wooey that we follow going up into the sky. Has those dual halberds, throws out the charged RMB, catching on to, or trying to catch on to Plumeria before he gets interrupted. Hex now with Wooey managing to catch the 180 charged RMB. Gets the cube to be able to reposition, put himself onto the high ground before coming on through with that Kylan ultimate. Finds one slash, finds a second slash, finds a third slash. Madosen absolutely plummeting to the floor, can do absolutely nothing on this Zai as Wooey just uses the jumps to be able to keep himself ahead of that Zai ultimate from coming on through. Has to be careful about his spacing since the Temi ultimate is going to be making it a little bit harder for Wooey to be able to find the spacing for these dashes, but he's avoiding it expertly. Temi ultimate now has been taken off of the table. Charged RMB from the halberds, sent back to back against Mado. Full commitment coming on through from Wooey. Gets the zip sustain as well as Plumeria is going to give Wooey a taste of his own medicine with this same charged RMB on the halberds before he gets intercepted by the triple charge on the Hardy ultimate. And it's just cleanup at this point. The zip ultimate's gonna proc, but that's only gonna save Plumeria for a mere moment before Hex finish off this fight.
Yeah, I was kind of keeping paying attention about whether or not this is something I was looking forward to, because I'll say, what's the optimization for the Temi into the Zai and the zipping in, and Keelan just went straight through it. Straight through the marks. Omnidirectionals from Zai just wasn't able to stop him until it enters into purple focus, in which case he was in white for the first hit. He's not going to get staggered. He just float around, and then he can swipe her back while she's locked in animation for the attack. Tough. Then the Temi ultimate is rocking that rotation and seeing how PSA was going to actually operate off of that. There was no knockdown. Now, if they did have a Matari for that Temi instead, the F was definitely going to stop the Keelan in his tracks, at least for a little bit of the motion, and we'll be able to see that, the turnaround that we usually suspect here. But regardless, KFL here for that White Tiger's prowess after that Romy Yang win, or potentially for the Spear Wheel. We're going to have to double check and see. They got gold armor on standby, so definitely going to be having a spike for the HP for his ultimate cast, as Vajra is able to scale off of that for the sustain aspect. And then for Yak to have the gold Hong Sword on board for the team. Now, this is going to be a gold Hong Sword for the action for a Temi. And you can see how it's going to be a V1 Temi in the play. Now, Yak's going to be trying to get as much duration, depletion for any sort of fights between any other opponents or even other Temis, where he's able to have it as long as often as possible for the fights, where Tianhai can then go for the grabs and just be safeguarded from any sort of range shots if it comes down. Now, WK fighting at PSA outside Romy Yang. This is difficult for PSA. They lost to Romy Yang. I'm not sure what PSA stands in terms of that position. Looks like Mado's going to get into the fights, and WK going out here with the wins into their own ultimates. Maybe they themselves also have Romy Yang depletion. We'll have to double check and see about that from their point of view.
Yep, Plumeria going to be utilizing that zip sustainability. Mado setting up the Zai V2, trying to find that fire cone tick damage. The burn hitting so many players on Plumeria's team. You can see the health bars absolutely decimating. Spooner's going to throw in the combo breaker, trying to catch the wisp onto Jin-chan, but the Matari ultimate is going to come through, and as a result, WK have the turnaround that they were looking for. Spooner is going to go down, Plumeria as well. It's just Mado who unfortunately has not been able to find a single kill in that fight, and as a result is still going to be affected by Yang depletion for the next 3.5 minutes. Could potentially put himself onto Ballista. No, he's got to keep himself as mobile as possible, because here comes the chase. XNB with a late third-party entrance into that fight, now looking to find the chase and lockdown onto the side. Mado's going to be putting himself onto the wrist, trying to stay as mobile as he possibly can out into the open. Unfortunately gets hit by a grapple. Now has to try and stand his ground. Comes in with the charged LMB with the purple hit of those fist blades. Castle looks for the parry in case Mado tries the same. Now as a result will be able to finish up using that wisp to stop Mado from having the freedom of space before catching him with the charged RMB on the hang sword.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was looking at the map and I was like, man, Ballista shot just saw a Spooner out there. And the XMB was actually, I think, the reason WK disengaged completely. They didn't know how much that Ballista was going to be held onto. Plumeria actually ended up in that position trying to deny the Ballista shots to happen for the second time, but she got caught out. And then as a result, then we see Mado getting eliminated here. Now, XMB, 5 eliminations on the board. They're actually earning themselves and just trying to go ahead for the fist blades. For that Temi, that's dangerous, man. I'm telling you, RMB charge up and trying to go for it, or even for the LMB, right? Setting up for his teammates for like a fan for the RMB again and again for the spam. Searon on both sides, because they're going to be coming out into the board. We have the players into the map. And with the players in terms of standings, Hex still into the game. We're looking into the east side of Sigma Mine. You got to be careful. Hypercube is also on the west side. This is a sandwich. No lettuce all meat. I'm looking for the pastrami because I'm hunting for the roast beef.
You know, I've never had pastrami.
Word?
I take
First
it
time for
as
everything.
that's a
first time
kind
for
of
everything.
ham. I'm guessing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go with
Gotcha.
that. We'll go with that.
As I'm so excited to see this because we're getting to see cannonball composition again. Or this isn't cannonball. This is Aeromech. This is Yuetian, Hardy, Farrier. Do you know what? In 2 games of EU qualifiers, I've seen more Farrier than I have the entire MVPL season. So.
It's true.
And
Yeah,
I don't
Farrier's
know whether I'm sad about that or whether I'm excited to see what EU has in store for this composition. It is a legendary fan that is attached to No Sense. This is a very strong composition for endgame, given the fact that Farrier and she can just drop that V3 so that everyone can just have that constant space of safety as long as they don't immediately melt whoever goes into the mech. Because that's what Farrier's found happening in MVPL. That's why Farrier phased out of Trios Matter, because absolutely everybody would just look at whoever was in that V3 mech and they would melt you. Because Fire Tick ignores mech health and goes straight to the player who's sitting in the middle of it, and as a result the V3 had to get cancelled out early. A whole heap of times we're going to be seeing a Kurumi Armor Sickle being cast, Bokai going for that Takeda ultimate knockback activation, try and shove everybody outside of the area effect of it. Castle looking to be brought back by that Kurumi. Teva will be able to be brought back, and it is still in the middle of the Kurumi armor circle, so does get a couple of ticks onto the epic armor as well. Really good stuff coming in through from XMB to be able to grab their players back, but they have to be careful because here comes the third party. Viper V1 is going to be able to find the stun. Bokai utilizes that shove that he can still use when stunned to be able to peel for his players, but it's not going to be enough. Noob has gone down. No Kurumi, no 90% damage reduction Teva, and here comes XMB. Looking to try to live as long as they possibly can against the other team that, having seen that third party, turned back into the fight, having dropped the Tumult ultimate to try to put even more pressure and catch XMB, having already exhausted their ultimates in the fight prior. KFL with a really clean third party off of Yak's ultimate.
Yeah, I was looking and paying attention. I saw KFL backed off. They realized where Risk was, that third-party team. Backed away. 2 Furins were on reserve for XMB to have that for their Takeda, but then again, once that Viper ult comes out here, he had to invest both of them. Couldn't save the Kurumi in time. That was their first primary objective, and just making sure she gets out, and hopefully to see whether or not XMB still stays alive with the Takeda. He is getting chased out here by Risk, so we got to double-check the scene. Hex taking fights against Hypercube. Looks like Sachiko's going to be the second person to fight, one of the teammates from Chile, as we saw Hypercube actually being the ones to aggress upon, so maybe some range shots back and forth. We'll have to double check here. Double gold armor for KFL. They have themselves 8 eliminations, so there's going to be a good stead in terms of the remaining player base. It's 13 foes for them to go up against, and the Ballista's in control for Hex. They got gold armor across the board. Boom. 7 kills, and they get the shot against Windy for the Scorch. This is going to happen, folks. If the Ballista gaming happens, we're catching you live.
I mean, yeah, after that shot, Windy's not gonna be Windy anymore. That's gonna be holes. A lot of holes on that poor player, because direct Ballista shot is so much damage, but also Fire Tick proc as well. So Hex moving in off of the space that has created. Wui showing off the Shaolin martial art Jade for that spear. Keep an eye on that one, because the damage and the hit comes out incredibly quickly. It's no jabbing, but it is very, very dangerous if you are not expecting the hit to come through. WK are actually, this is very greedy, retracing their steps to find the revive on the player, and this has been spotted out by Hex, who are just gatekeeping them. So now, not only are WK going to lose that player again, they're probably going to lose their entire team if they're not careful. F3 from the Zai has to be invested in Matari ultimate as well, but it doesn't make you impervious to damage. It just makes you harder to be able to spot. Bane's Breath not going to be able to stop Wooey from trying to find the chase lock on, but unfortunately with WK running from Hex, they're going to run themselves directly into KFL, who bring out the Flamer. Hex, seeing that that's potentially an overextension that is going to get punished, are going to back off and swap over to the cannon just to get a couple of pot shots in, potentially pick up that kill. More than content to let KFL finish off WK without putting themselves into a riskier position. They're not looking for 2 kills, they're eyeing a much bigger price, so if they want the full MVP of this round.
Yeah, Mystic might going to be coming through if they don't get contested. We saw, remember when we practiced in the scrim, that they had an opportunity of catching double spear wells for gold weapon, gold armors into the second spear well, the final spear well, where there's a buff. the teams on the top floor of that tower can just keep those cannon shots going, and they have the range for it. Now it's up to see whether or not KFL holds down towards this fort line, gold fist blades, and looking towards it. There's going to be the Spearwell Dome. Now, since the teams can't shoot any more cannon shots in that direction, they're going to have to really decide. With Hypercube being up there, XMB is holding off here. Bokai into the zone. Take damage, and WKZ. WKT gets caught through, or with Tizzy T, I should say, and he has no HP to live this one out here, and that team just walks out the zone for a free elimination. That's a free soul boom on standby for it. Yak's going to be looking for that pickup as he needs that ultimate to get online. If they want to contest this is going to be Hex's Mystic Might, so they'll have vision on every single opponent into the vicinity. They'll take the mitigation. They're going to be making that option selection for themselves to hopefully take all the aggression forward, because if that Tianhai has full potential here in locking down enemies, you know KFL is taking that multiplier.
Oh yeah, Ruman's got that Karumi Teva so he can keep pushing up more aggressively. Flamer and cannon shots absolutely steamrolling through Hex's health bar at the moment, but have KFL spotted Hypercube after that bow shot? Yeah, they have. Ruman goes for the grapple before swapping to the bow to show that yes, they've seen Hypercube's players. They are not going to let them just sit in the tree on the sidelines while all ultimates get forced from everyone else around them, and as a result, Hypercube are going to have to go a little bit more aggressive. No sense moving into position to put pressure onto Hex before falling back to help Chili out as KFL slowly tighten the space that they have access to. Wui, meanwhile, with this blue cannon, is doing everything that he can to keep the teams off of finding an aggressive hit onto Hex. They've still got almost 2 minutes left on this Mystic Might, and as a result, they are going to be incredibly happy and content to just let everybody else burn around them, force the ultimates, wait for the zone to collapse, for either the Hardy or the Kylan to come through with that last laugh. Hypercube's no sense has been spotted out. It's Risk now who've actually taken up the space that Hypercube had found themselves in. Liam V1 is going to be coming through, leading into that Viper V1 composition that Risk have been running, and Wooey unfortunately not going to be able to break LOS in time. The 5-second stun is going to catch onto the Kylan, and he disappears in a matter of moments. Are they going to be able to grab him back, or are they just going to have to cut their losses and prioritize keeping that Hardy alive for when the zone fully collapses? Looks like they're trying to stick the revive, but unfortunately that means that Squeaky is in position to get grabbed out. Reeman's going to be able to find the double grab off of the Flamer as well. Does so much damage. Doesn't manage to find the kill. Huge silence from the Viper on that F2. Gonna be able to connect onto the Tianhai, and as a result, Riemann does not find any potential damage that he wanted to be able to off of the Tianhai ultimate. Has to cancel it out early before he gets burnt down fully. We've got Chili coming in through with that Farrier V3, looking to put pressure on all of the players around them, but as a result, it is giving a lot of the teams with the Tianhai composition a full reset moment. If the lobby isn't careful, lovely snipe from Chili with that shot will be able to find the pick onto Risk's Creditor. That is going to be one of the main contests of the Tianhai now taken out of this lobby. Riemann trying to come on through now that Chili is out of that mech, coming through with the charged R&B on the pole, so trying to set the blistering edge up onto the team players behind him. Gets a lovely parry onto Riemann, and another parry onto KFL's Windy with the 180 switch up. Chili, eyes in the back of his head, able to try and find the grapple extension now to keep pressure off of No Sense on that Farrier. Goes into the sky to set the lever tech up for the Hardy composition. Squeaky still trying to find the revive onto Sachiko, is going to be forced off of that position as a Tumultuous ultimate comes on down. This one from Yak to set Riemann up right in the middle of it. Finds a huge grab onto Hexa. Squeaky into the Flamer. Follow-up coming in through from KFL's Windy, and that is going to be Squeaky going down to the follow-up. Pressure shots off the pistol coming in through from Yak. KFL very much running this lobby if these players aren't too careful about this one. So Riemann's got another grab into the Flame, and Chili goes yet again. Riemann now outside of that Tianhai ultimate is going to be able to come through with that fan. Swaps over to the Pulse of centering the blistering edge onto the Yushan ultimate, trying to put pressure onto Kanghai. He can't try to find a parry in the Yushan ultimate. This isn't Showdown. This is a Mortal War, and this is KFL walking away with the MVP.
Yo, 16 eliminations for KFL. They're taking that multiplier. And Hypercube getting second place with 6 eliminations, and having this is going to be the pop-off game. KFL needed it, and they got it. They're going to be securing themselves at least at the top 3 bracket to the top 4, and hoping to see how they're going to perform against their peers. Now we're really settling in. We're having the teams to kind of work off of that, and now having to hope to see what's going to happen next into round 4. We're going to go right to a break, guys, and we're going to be coming back after this. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back here for round 4 into the Shadowjade Trios finals and entering into the Firefly maps. My name is Severio alongside Moxie. We're just going to go ahead and, just hand it in and seeing what we've seen last round and make a mention about, everyone's favorite delicacy, pastrami. Listen, I know I said ham, and I'm thinking about bologna. They got the end name of it, the end syllable, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm hungry. You guys probably tell that.
Well, you know what's not bologna? These games. These games have been absolute fire. We've had some really fun compositions. We've had Cannonball being attempted to be brought back, and I mean, it made it all the way into Final Zone. We did get to see the Ferry V3 on the field and trying to find any form of pressure that it could. Unfortunately, the option selection from the teams was just really lacking in that last zone, to the fact that, they let the Tianhai live. They let the Tianhai and that threat of the double grabs go through as long as it did, and there wasn't even really all that much pressure on the Tianhai when the Vajra ultimate state dropped out either. The fact that your Tianhai is running F2, not F1, that should have been punished immediately, but it wasn't, because I think so many teams were just so occupied having to deal with both the Tianhai ultimate going off and the Farrier ultimate going off at the same time, as well as all of the pressure for the standings in the back of their mind, because, oh boy, sir, speaking about those standings, it's close. It's real close between first, second, and third.
Yeah, first, second, and third are really clocking in here in terms of the point values. Hypercube here at first place with 41.8, a 35.7 for both KFL and BWG. Just being able to kind of lock into that second and third position, this is close. And considering KFL got more eliminations, that's why they're above the team prior. Now, Hex still having their chances here for the next remaining rounds, 23 points, while Risk Takers has 22 in fifth, tied in with actual NPC. And of course, and having 20 points for WK2. XMB, bottom half of the threshold here at 19.5, with 16.5 for PSA, WK Gaming with 15.5, Crybaby having 10.5 in 11th, and then for 12th place, DBG having 5 points total for the overall scrim now, or for the finals, I should say. Considering that we have 3 other rounds to play out, we always make mention. It's always a chance of the pop-offs, and we're going to talk about that point that you brought up earlier, with the Tianhai being allowed from KFL. I mean, the one person of all the character picks to be there to kind of deny it should have been Faria Shen, and even then, she kind of worked herself out to that corner. Chili took a little bit of a mantelpiece on top of that little bit of rock face and just trying to go for those cannon shots, and Squeaky in the zone just trying to kite out here because he was just looking to try to keep the team for placement as much as possible. But the other thing, too, F2 parry bow. I've seen the F2 parry bow being brought out here more often from Risk. It's just because, when you have a chance of deforming and immediately upon an inspection of seeing someone to try to throw blue focuses at you once you deform, F2 can be saw through into that activation, and going for a straight parry after your deformation from Vajra state just gives you that upper edge. Now, F1 goes a long way, especially considering that F1 has it as a combo breaker. If F2 is going to be utilized to go ahead and work with the comp, especially if the Kurumi F3 is already down and they decide to work themselves and taking the action into their own set, he can just plop himself in there. F2, when all the blues are being spammed, because we saw that even in the game too, right? We saw that coming out when every single team was just spamming blues, blistering edge back to back from Hex, blue focus RMBs from dual blades being spammed out here to try to control someone down here. And then the only pressure to come off of that is going to be those Keelans, right, who have ultimate slashes that just deny it. And if a Tianhai is in the middle of the action against every other team who is throwing those blue focuses, and having the F2 to be operated upon that, could that be a niche? Could that be an optimization for teams to run that into a mindset of saying we can take the fights within and not having to really worry about it? That's the same mentality that comes out between F3's eye versus F1, comparable with having that offensive capabilities, but no disengagement whatsoever unless they're going to have to go for resets. That's going to be the case in Romy Yang's or even outside of those.
I mean, we do still see the F3 from the side getting utilized for disengagement, but it is a lot riskier, as you said, being the fact that it's not a combo break as opposed to the F1. But I mean, the F3 capability, having 3 resets, 1 paired with a Matari, and 3 chances of either being able to chase the target down who is low health, or just apply that fire tick, or even utilize it to be able to navigate around a Tumult ultimate, right? Zai is a lot of the time having to deal with a lot of Temis coming through, not just because Temi makes Realm of Yang fights much harder for the Zai to be able to control, but also because Temi is seeing a lot more power of play given the fact that Kylan struggles into the Temi ultimate. When the Temi ultimate comes down, Kylan loses a lot of the space to go for those dashes in his V2 state. So having that Zai F3 of just being able to rocket right out of the middle of a Temi ultimate entirely unregardless of all of the stamina sap that should be hitting your players and CC of being caught in those wind walls is absolutely massive for those Realm of Yang fighters. We're going to have a look and see. We have said this is going to be increased Firefly spawn, Holoroth coming through, so we're expecting a lot of aggression right off of the rips. The two teams, KFL and BWT, who are currently tied in that second place position, going to be wanting to try and separate themselves in the state of the leaderboard right now, as NPC going to be taking so much pressure coming on through from WK on this Karumi Sand Siphon composition up into Plumed. WK finding a very fast fight win and managing to score themselves all of the loot in the high tier drop location.
Yeah, 3 eliminations picked up here, WK. They're making their way straight to the beeline to the shop, but it looks like Crybaby's team is going to be coming into play. As you can see, they are clocking through here from the underground. Now, KFL Ryomen over to the tree north of the Imperial Village of the Yurt. Ryomen going for those fist blades and catching a lot of hits here. This is going to be Hypercube's demise. This is 3 eliminations immediately from KFL, and they're finding an armor upgrade to the Sentry and having to use those blue weapons. Now, as you can see, Crybaby's team is looking to try to take the engagement against WK. WK finding it back. You can see the clapback coming through here, slowly finding the elimination against TCT. And they'll try to find out some gear. There's going to be that Viper squad coming in, the Viper Wu-Ten Tessa pick, the V1 and F2. Now it's going to be for the silence, hoping to see the right target. There it is. Catching a stagger against Jin Shen. Jin Shen looking to try to go for the RMBs. Is it backing off here? They're kiting towards Tizzy, looking for the res. We know there's going to be a Moonbane blast. There it is. ZX Blast is actually losing a lot of HP here, trying to reset for his own sake. And considering that the teams can come back here for a res and 1 armor heal, they can take this engagement on a mobile status. Jin Shen doesn't have to really worry about that. That first priority listing for them to take that Moonbane, taking that purchase and using it now instead of offensive capabilities, using it as a defensive reset. Now puts WK at an advantage. They got Kurumi ultimate and Takeda ultimates back on standby. ZX Blast not having the escape for the team. Maybe have play support. We'll see later on into this next fight right here.
Slowy does have that V1 if he really wants to be able to provide space for his team, and he's going to have to pop it. Is he going to be able to find the lockdown, or is everyone going to be able to avoid it? No, WK's EDD is going to get caught either. Karumi is the last person that you want on this composition to get hit into that 5-second stagger. Tessa ultimate as well is going to be wrapping up this fight surely, but the Tumultuous ultimate will make it a little bit harder for Slowy's team to be able to find the damage. Still though, the second of that 3-second enchantment pops on up, that is just going to be all of the CC, all of the kills, especially off of the back of Slowy being able to pick up those purple halberds incredibly early on when WK's health just was not available to be able to shield through that damage. Rustin coming through with the charged LMBs, the purple focus hits of those fist blades, goes for the bow shot to activate the freeze butterflies and catch out the disengagement. Does get caught up into by the charged RMB on that staff, as it is going to be Plumeria utilizing the Karumi Parasol to teleport away from Risk's players. Almost takes Rustin down with them as well, but Rustin will be able to distance themselves with the Parasol and get a couple of heals as well as a shield pot off. Really good stuff coming through from Risk, but they almost traded that Karumi for it.
Yeah, they almost did. I was wondering, like, that's dancing the kill off here, and looking for dash RMB did not occur. Mado going to go ahead and go on the first soul form, and now for 2 eliminations, Risk has enough chances to kind of rotate towards Ice Lake if they can for the Ice Shard Lake to try to see what's up there, or even towards Yushan Ruins. The dependency right now for this map is that Holoroth Dusk is going to have Fireflies. We are into that rotation for the map selections, folks, and now it's going to see a chance over toward the Grizzly Rise, or I should say the Northwestern Barracks, because KFL having the chance here, no deaths on their end. They have 6 eliminations being. I mean, you look at the kill feed. Who do they get the kills off? We'll find out later. We're gonna have to take a look and see about what the opportunity is for KFL right now. Because if they go to the Fidget Ice Pools, they can look for teams that reset it there. And if they go down south, they're heading into the areas towards City of Tang, into a further bit, and hoping to wonder if that zone is going to lead on towards that area. Because when we see the EU peeps heading to City of Tang, it's a bloodbath. Everyone takes these fights, no matter where they have, whether or not they're going to be at 1 HP or even 500 HP to a full armor. They will take the fight if they can, just because now at that point we would see that in the motion coming up here very shortly. Because I see Hypercube taking the heat against NPC. NPC also in the fights against Taliska, swapping back in from Kanghai. Now it's going to be them playing out the Takeda for this comp. It's going to be a Sand Siphon. Now Chili's going to see the Forbidden Seal. This is Moonfall Pass. This isn't too far away from this area from City of Tang, but for Chili to go ahead and having that Forbidden Seal into play, NPC backs off almost completely. They still have ultimates ready to go for the Keelan, for the Zipping Ying, and not for the Hottie though. And for Hypercube right now, Chili is actually depleted for his rage. So they're going to take a look at them backing off here. We still got 2 minutes or so until Romy Yanks decide to go ahead and spawn in, and then we'll have a chance of seeing how the rotation of the hero selections may be.
Yeah, Hypercube having to be very careful about how they take these next couple of fights. We know that one of the teams that KFL was able to find the kill onto was in fact Hypercube, because we cut over and watched them beat this team over towards Imperial underneath Waterfall, which is why Hypercube currently do not have any of their revives available to them. And it is going to be them having to just go full recovery state, which is not something a Sun Siphon composition wants to find themselves into, given the fact that Taliska's ultimate needs to hit that legendary state as quickly as possible. It is going to be Hypercube managing to just go through, grab a couple of Fireflies that have been left behind. As a result, Chili will immediately be able to charge up that ultimate. We'll have to wait and see whether or not they do want to put themselves into a Realm of Yang fight. As in the meantime, it's just going to be looting and trying to find anything that they possibly can to set them into an advantage when it does come to those scraps, those 3 versus 3s. Heading on over, we're going to see Hex, who must have rotated over towards Salvation Podium, or at least taken down a team who had rotated that, because that is a legendary weapon already in the hands of Sachiko, coming on through with that Viper ultimate. We did theorize that they would go for the triple pick of the Tessa Viper Wu Chen composition in these last 3 games. It is their strongest composition where they get the most amount of kills because of the amount of CC that they can set up with. Have to be careful though, because the Tessa ultimate is going to be coming on through from the other team. Squeaky will be able to interact into the Soul Urn so that he does not actually find himself getting enchanted, and as a result will be able to teleport everybody on his team out before any kill can be found. Lovely stuff coming on through from Hex to prioritize the Wu Chen, managing to untether and give the team an exit strategy.
Yeah, and now it's going to be KFL finding out Sachiko into the vicinity, of course, looking towards it. We will be going ahead and seeing whether KFL can find that elimination against Sachiko. There's going to be F2 Silence, but there's going to be the test enchant right hot into the wind, and that jump LMB could confirm the jump right there. And there's going to be Yak getting elimination against Sachiko. The enchant is good, but there's no offensive capabilities that Hex can take here. The guy will run into the defensive motion. We know that he doesn't have an ultimate. He's taking the fight into the points. They haven't lost their first set of lives, so if this is going to be a hard reset for this team, it's going to have to happen. Yak finding gold longsword in play, and Ryomen getting that purple armor, having the sustain to make it through. And looking to see what's left on the supplies. This is going to be an 8-kill game so far for KFL. They have nearly around 12k gold. Wui in the zone, rotating around here with Sachiko in soul form, with Squeaky as well. And Wui having still that first life left. Having to find a hard reset here is going to be a risky play if he takes it all the way towards another place for the soul altars. That's Hex is going to go in towards the Imperial Village. This is where KFL actually first arrived into fighting outs. So I'm kind of curious in seeing if there's any sort of recipient areas for them to loot out, because regardless, 30 seconds until Romy Yang, BWG with 0 eliminations spawning out in towards mid top are resetting here, as it's going to be their second pair of lives in this game.
Yeah, not so much playing it slow, but it looks like they lost the first fight off of the rip. And as a result, it has been a state of recovery that this team has had to make. Aeromech composition coming through from them, so as we've talked about, the fact that we've seen so much fair is already a huge surprise coming on through in terms of those composition metas that we've seen being influenced over from CN. Hypercube potentially going to be contesting the entrance, as well as I believe that is XNB over towards the low ground. Luxon showcasing the fact that he has Cavalry Bloom coming on through. Are they going to be able to put themselves into a realm of Yang? Yep, Luxon will immediately be able to port on through. They're going to be going up against WK. WK already getting 1 set of purple armor onto Jin Chan. Believe they're running Takeda Sand Siphon. So will the Aeromech be able to find its footing? All ultimates currently online. Zay already going to be setting up the queue for BWG to play around, as Lexon puts the pressure onto WK, trying to make sure that he's not able to find any setup with that spear in the back. Hits into the stone form onto that pole sword. Hasn't been able to set up the lawnmower with the cavalry bloom just yet, instead utilizing the pillars to skirmish and keep himself as mobile as possible. WK's Tissy trying to come on through. Did manage to get a Nezhaz. Looks like he was able to escape. Yushin F9 going to be having utilized over from the side of Lexon, swapping on over into that ultimate state. Karumi on the circle going to be coming on through. from the side of their opponents. Barrier V3 has also been set into the field, potentially for Zay or Lexin to hop into if they're feeling pressured. It's still going to be up and available as the Yushan starts to try and find some of these staggers. The Kurumi Taba managing, though, for all of the players to tank the damage on the other side. And it is still going to be Lexin now coming on out. Late Temi ultimate going to be catching all of the players from DWG. I believe the Farrier Pillar is still outside of where the Temi ultimate is isolating them from. And as a result, Lexin's going to have to utilize the Hottie Cube to reposition. Catches the 180 turn with the Cavalry Bloom onto Tizzy. Doesn't manage to find the kill, though, because he's intercepted by WK's Jin Chen with the pulse out, making sure that Yushan is not able to find the follow-up damage. Zay now with the chase down on this Hottie. Has the ultimate. Looks for the hit landing onto this Temi, but gets stuck up. Has to utilize the combo breaker to get away from where that Wisp would have tried to grab him. Will be able to finish the chase down onto Tizzy. Try to go for the Dragon Slayer set into the Nessos to cleave the two remaining players of WK. The Kurumi is going to take a back position to be able to sit in with the Teva, and as a result, Jin Chen has the full confidence as well as the damage reduction to keep the fight going, and they'll be able to take the fight.
Their rotations of ultimates came out and clutched up for that Weishan, but then again, once you came down towards the end circle, we saw how they got picked apart through. Now Risk winning their roaming, taking out Hypercube, and this is going to be 6 eliminations so far for Risk. They're going to find that chance of picking up the buff. It's going to be Vermilions, NPC. They're working now towards north side of the Ice Shard Lake. Now into this, well, not Ice Shard Lake, into the Serpent's Pass near to this point. For NPC, they have the Kadi Income to come through here to White Tiger's Prowess for another 70 seconds, and then for Warcry being here for 7 grapples, 2 healing berries, and 6 armor powders. You know, just hoping to see about whether or not they're gonna be looking for resources here or there. Another team is in the vicinity though. I see Hex is actually right out there to the corner. Yes, sir. There's gonna be the chance in seeing about whether or not this engagement's gonna be had here, because you can see Baby Rivi, purple weapon rarity. They would want to take this fight, and knowing how strong this is gonna be for the Hottie, having the teleporter to have as much verticality and spacing away here. Yushan Village is going to be where Hex is going to just dissipate through here. Squeaky, backline. He is gaining a full view of the team from the sidelines. If he decides to want to take a chance of setting up a port, he can actually port in the opposite direction, because Sachiko is going to be that Viper with the V3 the F2, most likely, considering that Wooey is playing now Tessa. And as it stands, they're fighting towards this cornerstone into this area. White Tiger's Prowess is going to expire here in just a moment, so there won't be as much effect of it for the healing over time. This fight takes a full standstill motion.
Oh, there's the Tessa ultimate. Squeaky now moving into position to be able to find that flank hit. This Warcry on the zip is going to put himself over towards the wall so that when the enchantment runs out, he's not in a position to be punished for coming on through entirely unnoticed by all of the players as the fight continues on around him. KFL now going to be taking a fight head-to-head against XMB Raymond, coming on through with the jump horizontals on those fist blades, putting a lot of pressure, trying to find the lockdown onto Bokai on this Kylan, who is going incredibly low. Had to utilize the Hardy Cube to be able to reposition. And you can see that Yak is going to be joining to make sure that they can try and find this hit. Kylan ultimate is going to be coming on out. Kurumi on the circle on the field as well. Raymond still trying to find the kill onto him. Will be able to generate the rage necessary to come in with the Tian Hai ultimate. Now puts himself with those jumps onto the high ground. Forbidden Seal is going to be activated, but the Tumultuous ultimate was already down, and as a result will not be cancelled out as Riemann now looks to try and grab some of these players on the low. Is he going to be able to find anything? No, drops down to be able to help his team out with the fistblade hits. Coming on through as XMD's caster is going to be collected by Yak's Wisp and deposited at the nearest soul altar. The Million Birds Might going to come into play. Unfortunately, something that was not available for BWG, as Lexin with the Yushan ultimate just has to cut his losses and try and survive for the benefit of the team.
Yeah, now the roaming completion in another 90 seconds or so. So for BWG, this is gonna put a little bit of strain throughout these next 2 rounds for round 5 or 6. Now, Sobloom could be picked up from Lexin, hopefully. KFL though, they got 10 eliminations. And they're rotating towards Emberhawk as it comes to stand here, and Lexin just trailing behind them in case of anything. If he can find a fight that they're going to take, that he can go ahead and try to snag it out here. Meantime, WK taking fights against PSA, and Anacor is with NPC taking fights against Risk. For both of those fights between both of those teams, definitely going to be close-eyed fights between both WK and whatnot. So hopefully NPC is working through. Looks like Spooner gets cut out here from WK, and it might be up to Plumeri and Mato to kind of survive out here. Jin Shen looking to try to use those fist blades. Lexin still trying to find a spot here. Hoping to see what's going to be the case here for Lexin. I mean, you got 45 seconds left on the clock for that Romy Yang depletion to kick in here, you know, for everything, and he's looking to try to go rotate right back towards Pinnacle Town, seeing what is up, gamers, and he's going for the Bell Strike, and he's of course just going to head through.
Run into all of the bells that you can and just try and find any information of where players could be. Oh, that's a team. Whether or not that's a team that he's going to be able to find a fight with, we'll have to wait and see. He's got to take it. There's 20 seconds left. It looks like he's seen that it's a full squad, and I think the call has come through to just kite away from them as quickly as possible so that BWG don't give a kill away to another team.
Yeah, and that's KF. That's Risk too, you know. And Risk is they can take all the kills they need because they can catch up with that one elimination. It could really seal the deal for one kill. I mean, that's happening.
Oh yeah, we learned yesterday. those one eliminations, they really do count an awful long way. Are WK gonna get this Realm of Yang for free? That's gonna be legendary armor for free if they are. Nope, they are going to be contested. Risk is going to be putting themselves into the fight. I believe that is a legendary pole sword in the hands of Risk's Lucio. So we know that we've got Sand Siphon with Karumi coming in through from WK's team. Not quite sure if Risk are running a little bit of a funny composition that doesn't quite match up to the traditional meta that we've seen, as is the Risk way. It's gonna be Tien Hai Karumi. Okay, so it's Sandformers. But Lucio on this Tumult, throws out the whiff, comes in with the vertical hit of that pole sword. Goes for the Tumult ultimate too, having been able to lock down Jin Chan, who goes incredibly low, gets bailed out by his teammate. As Lucio now with the charged RMB on that pole sword. He's gonna run over to the pillar to set the scale rush pressure up into motion. Tumult ultimate now on the side of the other team. Risk's Predator in the middle of it, gonna be able to immediately find a grab onto one of these players and the subsequent slam down. WK having to take cover around that Tumult ultimate and pillar as a result. Unfortunately, another of their players has been grabbed and thrown into the wisp coming through from Lucio. The reverb grab as a result is found by Creditor into the Flamer follow-up, and Jin Chen with the legendary fist blades is down. Creditor now plunging himself into the middle of that Karumi armor circle, going to be making it incredibly hard for WK to be able to find their way back into this fight, with ZDD now being pressured. Unfortunately, that does mean that Tizzy was unnoticed, goes for the Dragon Slayers into the Nezas, but Creditor able to utilize the F2 parry bell to deny any follow-up coming on through from the Tumult. Mistimes the parry, and Tizzy's able to find another Dragon Slayers into Nezas. Suddenly, WK might be able to turn this one around. Creditor does go for the weapon swap, unfortunately needed to repair the weapon, but Lucio has him covered, and Risk will be able to walk with the fight when I'm still recovering from that Monk throw into Tammy grab into Monk grab. That was an absolutely insane wisp play.
Yeah, it was a treat in being able to watch that out here. And Lucio on standby duty for that scare rush at the very end, even with the parry coming through with the Dragon Slayer into Nezjaz. Having the F3 for Karumi for a couple of, even for 1 or 2 seconds, that's like 2 or 3 strikes from that skill. So for anything coming from the weapon, there was the case scenario, it would have been a turnaround. WK, though, losing it out for that Rummy Yang. Now, KFL, we're chilling. We're big chilling. We got ourselves with a gold longsword, purple longsword for Yak. And they look to just try to bait out and seeing whether or not other teams are going to be rotating outside towards this area. I mean, there's sometimes a Firefly cage into that vicinity. So if a team wants to take a rotation, then they can be able to spot them out before with the skills, hopefully with the whisk throw. Hypercube, on the other hand, they got 2 eliminations. They're hiding out here on top of the Aquila's crest, trying to see where is going to be the necessary spotting of players who are trying to work out, fighting out, you know, anybody that they can to get rid of Romania depletion. I mean, that's going to be the case. Hexto saw fights in the outside of the kill feed. Getting caught out here, getting eliminated. Sachiko and Wubi still trying to earn themselves to try to get that team back up. Now, keep in mind, I made this mention into when we were last time into Holoroth. The Reaper charms from Spirit Wells from previous times can be picked up over the course of the match. They are on the ground for as long as it kind of comes down towards. So for the teams to kind of make that chance of finding it, if Hex notices the Spirit Well for this round to be deleted, they can go make that rotation towards there. If not, it's going to be either picked up from another enemy team to kind of get their third or their second to come back into the game. But Valiant Challenger into the north side. WK are scouting into the north side of Plume Castle. It looks like we're going to be a little bit too close here. Sachiko doesn't realize it. And when that spawn happens, you're going to see Hypercube actually looking to try to see about who just spawned in here for the souls. But it didn't even happen. WK noticed all the teams to the north side. A quest line is going to be completed here for Hex and, you know, Wooey. He's just going to be going through and being ahead of where Sachiko is, because Sachiko in the backline could get caught out by Grapple, could be caught out by Bell. We'll have to see how that's going to end up here in the next couple of seconds.
Wooey does have Tessa ult. At least Sachiko just trying to kite by himself the time of building that Viper V3 if they do get pressured by the team in the area. Valiant Challenger team has tracked them all the way to Plumed. Currently, as we can see that Hypercube are in the area with the traditional Sand Siphon coming on through. Are they going to try and take this fight against Hex? Or are they not going to want to? We have to remember as well that there are going to be teams with Yang Depletion currently on the map having to try and track down some of these fights. So the third-party opportunity is 100% there. And as a result, it looks like Hypercube have just decided to sit and stand vigil to wait and see whether or not they're going to throw their hands in, they're going to throw their ultimates in when a fight has already occurred and they can jump in some of these teams, scavenge a couple of kills away from players who are already much weaker into the fight. Some teams are going to have to take a fight, so if we know that teams lost Realm of Yang, we know that there are teams with Yang Depletion. If they don't take a fight, they're as good as out of this lobby. And as a result, all of the teams with these third-party style comps, with these heroes like the Viper and the Tessa, are all brought into the area. It's not just Hex's team who have a similar thinking. CX Blasts does as well. Has there been any fight, however, for them to take advantage of and try to third party? Because it looks like every single team, by trying to avoid a fight, there's absolutely nothing for them to do, except now Hex are going to be taking a fight against WK. WK2 are going to be taking a fight against Risk. As XMB going to be waiting for that final zone to collapse, as well as potentially contesting the Spirit Wolf, the amount of loot that they've been able to absorb from the pathing, as well as the victories that they've found inside the realm of Yang. Hypercube going to be showing off the fact that they did manage to put pressure onto some of these teams enough to force a Kurumi ultimate, potentially chasing down some of these players. We saw that Hex were on the run, might actually run into XNB, who are all the way up in the middle of that statue. As Chili with that Kurumi Tava is going to utilize not just the combo break on the Temi, but the Skull Rush as well to try and keep pace with where Hex's players have run off too. I think they've spotted out that this team is a little bit low in terms of both loot, but also teammates. As in the meantime, Risk, who was taking a fight, look now to be disengaging it instead. Are WK2 going to try to press this issue, or are they going to have backed off now that the Forbidden Seal has come into play?
Yeah, and it's going to be a beacon of hope for anybody who is needing to patch those eliminations. And right now, Risk at 9. Just trying to create that pressure against WK2. If anything comes out for WK2, they go straight toward the Forbidden Seal. That way they can just go into the other side. It cuts the grass of the motion of the rounds, the vicinity. In the other times, though, you know, WK is still fighting out between Hypercube into the distance. And I'm kind of curious about seeing that one fight, because considering that Hypercube and, you know, with WK being two top teams, Hypercube is still at the highest of the standings. They are still at first place. Those are teams that have potential to kind of work off of. They only have 2 eliminations this round. So for catch-up, we know that WK not being able to take the time for the first round is now going to take more chances of fights, because they have to make up the margin of points, right? They're overall into the 10th in the standings. They have to take a look and hopefully getting as much as they can before the 5th round, because when we hit the championship round, that's going to be the case. But WK had Romy Yang depletion as a result of that loss of Romy Yang, so this is going to be where we lose out and seeing that team. And for the motions for the Spirit Whale, this is going to be a gold weapon, gold armor, 2 gold weapons, 2 gold soul J's, and that's going to be an immediate pickup. You know, and raccoons in the vicinity just going to like yoink, yoink every single one of those. And that's gold cannon. That's going to be martial art will form hook. If that tool, however, is on standby, they're going to be set up for these next minutes of fights.
Well, WK aren't going to be set up. They're going to be waiting for the next lobby to roll around. Unfortunately for them, 2 players went down to Yang Depletion. 1 player gets spotted out by XNB, who are able to immediately grab that kill. And the Soul Boom as well, seeing there's teams in the area, as well as the fact that Zone would be moving away. Keep your eyes as well onto Hypercube, because they had Blistering Edge when they showed that Shadowjade line out. And we know exactly how detrimental fight it can be to these Zip teams, and being able to force a lot of resources much earlier than the Zip teams would want, as we can see XNB just utilizing all of these focus hits so that the ranged weapon hits just do not manage to find the damage that they're looking for onto this team. Bane's Breath also going to be in play, and as a result, we're not really going to see any full contest fights coming on through. That is going to change, however, when Spirit Whale spawns on up. Not quite sure what buff it is going to have inside of it, as KFL going to be taking a little bit of pressure coming through from Risk. I believe that was a bound shell, so that is going to be accompanied by Twin Shot coming on through, as we can see that Rayman does have Flame Breath Rupture Gale, as we have a massive Tessa ultimate coming on out from Nono Crybaby. Huge hit, managing to lead into that Viper follow-up off of the back of another team slowly. Going to be holding on to his V1. ZX Blast also holding on to the Weechen teleport, utilizing those blades to just send a little bit of support in for his team, so behind this corner they can get the armor a little bit more reset and healed back up before some of these teams try to push aggressively into them. Bansworth's going to be running out in a matter of moments. Still waiting to see whether or not any team is going to be able to easily cap this Spirit Well. And a Crybaby holding onto that Tesla ultimate as well. Might want to try throwing it out and grief the team that tries to grab all of the loot when the dome breaks. They have to be careful that they don't get trapped in this space, though. With the Temi now turning and looking at them, it's going to be a skirmish coming through from ZX Blast to buy his team the space to reposition and put themselves into prime position for that Spirit Well that they know so many players are going to start running towards. Huge parry comes on out as No Sense gets the Karumi Tether to help his players in the forward position for the Spirit Well. Does have to worry that he doesn't get caught out by a Tesla ultimate, as Riemann with the Tian Hai has been able to find one grab onto Chili, doesn't manage to find the reverb. The KFL still freeing up all of this space for the Spirit Well to start to cap on through. Yak also with the Tumult ultimate. Second Tumult ultimate is going to come down, overlapping KFL's. Riemann going incredibly low, has to utilize the jump mobility from the Tian Hai given to him this year to get away. The Karumi Tether also coming into place so that Riemann can get that 50 heal tick as well as the damage reduction and heal fully up. In the meantime, Spirit Well still has not been capped, but KFL have had to abandon that prime position inside it and give it up instead to Risk, because Creditor comes in with the second Tian Hai ultimate and controls the entire space, especially since we've got an Aurora Burst on the field coming through from Lucio. That is the buff that Risk have been able to pick up, but it's okay. It's just Mystic. It's not White Tiger serve. Lobby's
just chilling out here. Just chilling with a Mystic Might. You know, no one's going to get deleted, and by they, I mean everybody. Creditor kicking his piece though and going into Vajra form, clasping his hands together and looking for Spooner as a result. The shield wall is coming in from Crybaby is going to keep them shielded out from this Tianhai. So while that's coming out here, Mado's going to get caught to the grab and looking for a double grab. He finds CX Blast. That's going to be the connection here, hopefully for the Mustard Scotch. There's going to be the release. That's a double kill. Nope, there's a Mustard Shot connection from Rust. This man's an FPS gamer. He's going to go ahead and try to get the elimination, but there's not going to be a regrab from Predator here for that duration for the Tianhai ult. So only one double slam down. Looking to try to get Ryomen here from this point. Ryomen having ultimate ready to go for his Tianhai ult in just a couple of seconds. F3 is clutch here from Rustum and trying to keep Predator's survivability at its utmost peak. Finding the F2 usage, finding this Aurora Burst, looking for the RMBs, and there's Ryomen. Wendy goes down. This could be a res that Yak could try to go for this peacemaking position with that Tianhai ultimate into the Temi ult, and now it's going to be a chance for that team to port right into the middle of that. I don't think so. That's going to be Rustum trying to go back and forth. Rustum is making sure they can back away. Ryomen just leaping forth, but not be able to land the marks. He's going to be going ahead and keeping that ultimate sustain from Wendy and Notions, considering it's going to be V2. Now, this is blue armor spread with Wendy and Yak. Predator's still taking fights across the board against Hypercube into the backlines here to the southwestern side. And while the resource is going to be at its minimum for the vitalities for Ryomen, he's just going to go ahead and keep spamming out cannon shots with that, with the 1, the 4, the 0 repair chest. He's going to have Hypercube to really work out into hoping that they don't have enough to sustain, because look at the amount of money. I mean, we don't have any shops nearby, but they are stacked with money. They got Gold Cannon, and look at that Taliska here with this elimination spread of about 7 eliminations. They need to try to keep this lead going through because KFL is catching up into the leaderboard. They're at 2nd overall. So for right now, Taliska looking to go for the irradiation, going for that purple focus. Looking at Ryomen here for the F2. There's the F1 as it comes out for the somersault. And Taliska has that going for themselves with the Wisp or with the Parasol connection with No Sense with Hypercube. And now looking to repair in the face of danger. Ryomen trying to hide out in the bush like nothing's ever going to happen to him. And Taliska saw that motion. He's got ultimate ready for the Takeda. And now for Taliska to kind of hopefully see if they can just get some range shots here. Going to go for a reset for the armor. Knockbacks coming in here for No Sense. Still not going to have an issue here. We still have the ultimate for the Kurumi online for Hypercube. And with the F1 back up for Taliska, we're looking for those cannon shots into proximities and just trying to bait out with a Dragon Slayer or even for a mass range parry from those long scorpions guys coming out from Ryomen's position.
I mean, the problem though is Risk sitting right at the top of that high ground, spamming on repeat Aurora Burst. We know that they've got the Tian Hai. We know that they have the silence, the flame of follow-up. The fact that they were able to grab the legendary armor as well is going to make this team so durable, and as a result, KFL and Hypercube have to scrap for seconds on the low ground or risk getting silenced immediately. Creditor running around with the charged RMBs on the pole sword. Has to be careful that he doesn't drop down into the low. Riemann is going to be going for the TNI ultimate first. We're going to see Risk go for its second, trying to play off of the commotion and panic that KFL has instigated into this lobby. Riemann goes so incredibly low, doesn't have any assistance to his name, and as a result, Risk's Creditor is running the entire lobby. Gets one, gets two, gets a double grab, immediately finding the kill onto Chili. The Kurumi's armor circle coming on through, managing to ensure that he's able to find all of the sustain through all of the damage potentially. Gets another grab. This is the fourth and the fifth of the ultimate cycle, and Creditor doesn't even move, just looks as Taliska falls, and Risk walk away with the win.
18 eliminations for Risk, taking out that multiplier to work out, and I think they're going to get 23.6 points for that game. That's a lot, folks. That's a lot. They're going to get that multiplier to work out for that team and put themselves into that top 3 position for sure. They're in talks. They're in conversation. KFL as well. They had a lot of kill eliminations. Like I said, they were in second place. Hypercube in the endgame circle as coming through here are still holding down to the top floor. We're going to have to take a look and see about those scores when the time happens here to round 5 because we're entering some Morse night. So for everything coming through, it's going to be an interesting situation. We saw some Viper Wooch and Teslas coming out from Crybaby's team, and they were holding their corner off with the F1s and making sure they deny range shots, but more importantly, denying TN high grabs as it comes out. I mean, that's the biggest play with the Wooch and just porting out and keeping his protection for his team for those F1s. But at the end of the day, all the TN highs, all the Takedas, they just kept the motion to the end point on. And of course, with that Kurumi circle to kind of be on reserve, just to make sure the team's armor replenishment is going to be at its utmost peak and holding off for dear life, especially having the opportunity to reset though. That's just an objective-based gameplay where all the other teams aren't able to see where that team is healing manually by using the armor powder and to the vitality heal. And having an opportunity of picking up Mystic Might is this emotion into that final spirit roll where it worked out for the old resets. But we're going to go into a break real quick, get into round 5, and then we'll continue on and seeing who's going to be able to place in the top bracket for J Cup.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the last 2 games of the Shadowjade Cup for Truers. So we are 2 games away from finding out who is going to represent EU at this year's J Cup, and I still, hands fully up in the air, have absolutely no clue who it's gonna go. And you know what? We can keep those hands up in the air because Voyager State is apparently a stealth cloaking device at the moment. We've had 2 games now where Tianhai just has not been looked at, and it feels like a lot of these teams are just really worried about having to all in on a Tianhai composition when it's contesting the Spirit Well, and as a result, they're more than happy for another team to be the one to take that pressure. The problem is all of the other teams in the lobby are having the exact same sentiment, and as a result, we keep seeing these Tianhai teams walking away with the Spirit Well essentially capped for free.
Yeah, you know, and it's crazy too, because I'm thinking about this, like, if the team doesn't want to take the engagement for it, we'll have to see how this going to end up, because we're going to look at the standings real quick, folks, to see who is top 2 so far, and it's going to be Hypercube and KFL with Kung Fu Lions, 50.2 to be earned out. And they are holding that steady, but low key, Risk Takers is right in beneath him, and that's not a lot of points to kind of make up for, especially in trios, considering how much Risk Takers going through. I mean, a 5.5 game and a 3 game is one thing for points from games 1 and 2. 13.5s and 25.6, they finally finding a little bit of a roll into these matches, and BWG right behind there, 36.7, so a little bit more disparity, and then WK Gaming at 26, only being able to play for 3 rounds, XMB at 6 with 25.5, 24.5 for Hex, actual NPC at 24 points, PSA at 21, 25 or 20.5 for WK2, and Crybaby's team at 19.5. DBG, from what I've been able to see, they have retired for the tourney for today, so it's going to be a case for these 11 teams to just try to go ahead and try to catch as much placements as they can. And for the remainder of this play style today, that's going to be 33 players. That's not going to be 36. It comes down towards the teams to try to find key kills, key placements, just to make sure that they can try to succumb towards it. Because when it comes into that Tianhai conversation, right, it's like the pressure coming in and having to contest the Tianhai is one thing. I think teams are just a little bit kind of, but what if the Kurumi F is there? If I expose myself and start shooting, I'm going to activate the Kurumi's going to activate the Parasol, and there's 4 seconds, and guess what? I'm out in the open. He's coming out towards you and trying to grab you. When the time comes from the point of view of you getting deleted, because once that team locates you, they're going to make sure and stopping you in your tracks as the F3 from Kurumi comes out. Kurumi is a menace. We saw Wrestling go for that musket snipe in the midair just because they're trying to lock down as much of the chances they can from anyone who pokes their head out, and before it's too late for them to duck, the team is already on it. Other teams can also keep looking to try to pressure them out, even with blue focuses being thrown left and right. It's also for them to get caught in cannon shots, accidentally peek over, and then Tianhai just find the free real estate coming through here. No problem, no crisis. It's just free chances for them.
Yeah, what surprises me is that we're not seeing the repeating crossbow and venom tip immediately just get bought up, because that was the go-to counter before it, or rather after Attack on Titan fell out of meta, as we're going to be looking at Plumeria's team immediately taking a fight in Sunwings, going up against NPC. We'll be able to find the kills on this Feria Liam Valda composition. You and I, we were talking during the break about the fact that Plumeria has been trying to make the Valda composition work for a while. We'll have to wait and see whether or not it does find more success. And we've got traditional Attack on Titan. So as we were talking about, the Tianhai has seen a return of traditional Attack on Titan, probably going to be the silence on the Viper as well, just to make sure that if someone does get grubbed up by that Tianhai, the silence comes through, and as a result, he can't go for that slam, and they have the ability to just mash the buttons and slip away before the slam can come down.
Yeah, and it's also for the Wuchen port to keep the protection from that team that get grabbed. If you guys don't know, Wuchen V1 can teleport your teammate away from the hands of Tianhai as an insurance. So long that way the range shots don't come out from the teammates, right? So that way the Tianhai's teammates don't go ahead and just start meter dumping you with a crossbow, and then all of a sudden your HP is gone. There's a lot of different variations of how that's going to operate. It's just really going to be up towards the Yodohime gets full process. BWG, though, taking themselves their first set of lives. It looks like it's a victim haven against WK2, and then WK2 having that ultimate to come through. Hopeful to see. There's a Moonbane cast coming out, and it's going to be almost a Venn diagram. I don't think Vegeta's going to live here unless he catches that Test of Enchant, or not the Test of Enchant, the Kurumi Parasol, looking for the army, just trying to go ahead and just try to spam out. Lexin is caught out for the whole team. Zay is already in soul form for his first life. That Moonbane doing absolute work. BWG, though, he spams it out F3 from the Yodo as a surprise, and that's going to be BWG potentially losing out the first set of lives. Their reset's going to be potentially towards the Alchemist's Cottage. Who knows? That's too close of a proximity, but if that's going to be the case, they have to go through there to even to the Shadowjade Mine. WK2, 6 eliminations.
WK2 able to find that Moonbane, putting so much pressure onto the side of BWG. As a result, WK now with Tizzy on the Tessa, utilizing that Tessa combo breaker. Goes for the double jump, gets intercepted, however, by Slowly coming on through. Incredibly low, needs to get the kill from his team. Will be able to pick up the Soul Bloom off of the kill, going through onto ZX Blast. Manages now to maneuver out of the Tumult ultimate, but a huge double parry from Slowly is going to send that Tessa spiraling back into the position, and Slowly will be able to pick up that kill. Plumeria with the Valda ultimate, looking to try and find a catch and connect. ZX Blast has already gone down. Slowly actually gets knocked off of the tree into the charged RMV off of Jin Chen's pole sword. Has to put himself onto the fence. Goes for the blue focus to be able to avoid the grapple stagger, but Jin Chen will be able to catch him with the pole sword around that corner. In the meantime, though, Jin Chen has lost both his Tessa and his Viper. A third party from Spooner, Plumeria, and Maido's team does mean that potentially this Wu Chan's going to have the ultimate online to carry his teammates' bodies out, but that would give away his position, so maybe we're just going to see him just drop down, hold off of the ultimate, and go for the revive normally, because that hasn't created a commotion and pulled... Oh, never mind. Maido spotted it. Wu Chen was able to set the beacon though, so he has been able to pick up one player, and they'll be able to get the double res speed as a result in time to be able to pick up their third teammate before Maido's team is on the chase.
You know, I wanted to see something with KFL. I'm not even sure they went. They yoinked in there and then they left. So I'm honestly kind of curious to see where they're standing here. But the pressure is on here. Maido PSA as a whole, the team is going to be going ahead and on the pressure. The V1 Viper ultimate is going to go. Not going to stun. As a result, Maido finding the elimination. Looking for the lineup here. Going for the fist plays. Public Thrust is out. Looking for the RMBs. Gets caught by that RMBs again and again from Jin Chen. There's going to be the spam in the team with the Oryx Swords coming from Liam's spot. PSA having this comp at 8 eliminations is kind of crazy. I'm not going to lie. Either they finding the niche coming here. They spawn into the Sunwing's Rest, and their opponents haven't been able to kind of work off against it. Plumeria working this V2. Now, another thing with this comp that when I noticed in using Valda, especially considering the Anahita skill scoring up and Keelan that arrived at the same time, and I was like, man, I want to play Valda now. A lot of things led out to me thinking, okay, Valda can mitigate Keelan as a threat. She can also mitigate between Zeiss. If Zeiss takes the pressure in the ultimate, she can hold her water spear as long as she can to try to lock it through. Now, the only thing is going to be this. Zai can tap dodge. If she finds the opportunity of tap dodging from holding gold focus, she can also just avoid it. But that's up to the teammates to kind of deny it. So for anything coming up from the binds, that's where Liam is the sauce. He's looking to bind that teammate down, or bind them down, so that way there is a free Valda spear to be occurred. And then for the pressure from Atara, just to kind of go for those resets across the board. Now, BWG, hard reset. Crow's Nest, they know it's a Firefly here if they needed to pick it up, but it looks like they had ults already on this necessary rotation. Purple Nunnies on Zay, and just trying to pick up trying to pick up gold here as often as time comes out. KFL though, this is going to be their case. 3 eliminations, or actually, yeah, 3 eliminations under Wendy's guys. They are into the north. This is going to be an area that, you know, I don't think any opponents are actually going to be coming through for. You don't have a map over you, but there would be a chance to know whether or not the teams are over by this area if we try to go for a hard reset towards the, towards the Breezy Maze, or even towards, Moonlit Courtyard. Either way, fights are still occurring. We have Slowly, we have Crybaby's team. They're up against Hex here, and Hex is having that Moonbane, I think, in their position of a benefit, looking to try to rotate out to the east, because this is going to be going towards the Islet Crater in this vicinity fight.
Yeah, Kurumi on the circle is going to be coming on out from Nono Crybaby. Slowly setting up the Scare Rush off of that tree, looking to drop down with a focus hit off that hang sword. Doesn't find the opening that he's looking for. Has to be careful that the Bane's Breath doesn't hit him in the air. One hit will absolutely melt the armor off of this Temmie. As will the Zai V2 will be coming on through, showcasing the range projectile and the threat that Zai can provide through that Tumult ultimate. As Wui just gets so much pressure. Another hit of the F3 sends the burn tick onto Nono Crybaby, who's trying to just get away from the fight, getting chased down by Wui on this side. He's so incredibly low, does manage to grapple. We haven't seen Wui land the bow shot just yet until now. I was going to say it's only a matter of time before Wui swaps over to a ranged weapon, either the pistol, the bow, or the musket, and just pushes Nono Crybaby that last little bit extra to be able to land that kill. BWG now, in the meantime, taking a fight against a better geared team of WK2. It was Zay who had to be the starter for this team coming through with that Zai F3 to provide BWG the position of holding their ground, of identifying the composition they're up against. It's a Yoda ultimate coming through. Bijin will be able to power the entire team through it with that Karumi on the circle. Lovely little turnaround coming on through from DWG, this time able to live and tank through that Yoda ultimate with the help of that Karumi sustain. And as a result, the team who had that Yoda just decided the fight is no longer worth it.
You know, it's crazy. I was like, they all look west, but they went east. And now it's going to be a chance for WK2 to actually back off here. Hexstone to fight against the Forbidden Seal. Boom area, PSA. Yo, this is going to be that comp. They're going to be like, wait a second, that's a Balda. And now it's going to be the chance of seeing those ultimates to come online, except they can't be the case. You got to understand, the Forbidden Seal is a high risk, high reward move. Wooey gets caught out here. PSA are looking to try to go ahead and try to spot out the remaining teammates. The Kurumi still in play for Sachiko. And the Zyphon comp coming out where Squeaky's still holding up for kiting out. They find Sachiko for the heals. We're going to switch this over to WK2 because it looks like they got spot out here from what I believe is going to be the BWG. We're going to see the fights to be twisted out here. 8-8 catching a chance for anything. Hoping to see if there's going to be a chance for that V3 from the Viper ultimate to come out. WRMBs to come into play, and hoping to see about a lockdown. But Gene gets staggered, but he's not going to get focused. WKT's 8-8 is going to go through with that Yodo swing number 1, Yodo swing number 2, no connections. Chi is going to go down as well. Coco is in the vicinity of being eliminated, and this team's on their last legs here. That F3 comes out, and for that, going to be 8-8. Going down with WK2, 6 eliminations for this team. BWG finding those extra 3, first 3 into the game, and we're going to see about the other fights happening in the vicinity hopefully soon.
Yoda. She's not what she once was, so she's not what she once was. So easy for the Kurumis to be able to just tether everyone through, or everyone to tap dodge the ultimate from coming on out, as it's going to be Baby Ruby coming on through with that Zai F3 Matari ultimate, provided the reset of that one. Now we get another F3 off of the activation of the V2. Baby Ruby going incredibly low is going to get the Kurumi Tava, as well as taking cover behind the pillars. The repeating crossbow starts to put pressure on the Zai when she wanted to reposition away. Hasn't thrown out the fire tick. Will now throw in that gold cone to be able to catch on to no sense, but we can see the Kurumi immediately burning that parasol to be able to cleanse it, as well as dropping her own V2 to keep everyone alive through it. And as a result, all of the burn will just be ignored entirely. Baby Ruby now coming through with a second and third F3, catching on to Hypercube. Has isolated no sense, as making sure that the Kurumi cannot get in those blind charges of the Dragon Slayers into Nessos before going through and pressuring with those dual blades, setting up the scale rush, trying to find the uppercut catch. Will be able to bait out that Temi combo breaker before turning on to the unguarded no sense, who was left open with the Temi looking to find that fight against the Zai. Another Tumult ultimate is going to come through from Chili, but it's not going to be enough. An NPC will walk away with the fight win.
NPC taking that purple armor and taking the gold weapon across the board. Gold Nunnies on the band. So now it's going to be the case. WK fighting fight out between them and KFL. And so for right now, hope to see if that's going to be the transition we're going to go into. And yes, it is Draco Storm on board for the Viper Witch and Tessa team, as WK rushing to the zone, finding Windy, who has, I think, a Wu-Chen port ready to go here. Who knows, but the enchant's going to occur. There's the RB, there's the Span, there's the Draco Storm, and that's the deletion right then and there. F3 of reveal for the Viper, as ZDD is going to be wielding that KFL Windy. Going down for the team, but not out for the squad. We still have some players still left alive. XMBito takes fights against NPC outside post Roman Yang. Able to see the war cry here with that ultimate for the Kurumi and getting the cleanse here, but Bokai getting for the horizontal releases. And of course, looking to try to release it back to back every single time. Parry's into play from the Nunnies as well for Revi. Gonna go ahead, Clink number 2. Bokai just spamming this out. This is a long sword. That's gold rarity. There it is. Going to be a massive pickup. They find it. They swap it. And now Nu's going to be caught into the position where the Kurumi circle is going to give the heal back. And now it's recasted. They had to reposition this one. The Zai F3 is available for Bokai. He goes for the activation. He has ultimate. But then the Matari ultimate right before the cast of the F3. So it's only going to be 2 refreshes. Catching the V2s. Catching the strikes. Catching the spikes. And of course, the hold check for the gold focus. Getting for omnidirectionals. There it is. 1-2s. And Rivi caught out here for the omnidirectionals. Potentially. I don't know. Because Bokai is getting caught for the backline. Getting griefed. And the F3 to live it out. Rivi's 1 HP. He gets struck into the sky. Warcry goes down, and XMB finding their 4th elimination outside of the council courtyard.
Unfortunately, not finding the legendary longsword though, because Vermilion Bird's Might means you keep all of your loot. So no legendary longsword going to be picked back up for Bokai despite winning that fight. They will, however, be able to retain Vermilion Bird's Might for the next 30 seconds. As a lot of these teams with Yang depletion are going to be running out of time if they're not too careful. XMB going to be going for a little bit of shopping, as we can see Bokai spending some of those coins, picking up a couple of bits and pieces for the inventory. Is KFL having lost Windy? Looks like it was a sacrificial play coming through from this team to be able to recover Riemann with the purple armor. We know that KFL's position in the standings is incredibly precarious, especially since increased Firefly spawn rates tend to see a lot of kills going one team in specific ways, so they have to be very, very careful that they play the entire long game. You can see as well that Riemann with that Viper V1, that tankier version of the ultimate with far more damage reduction in comparison to the V3, is going to be something that they want to try and prioritize and play for. No surprise that it's the Viper who gets the purple armor, as is the tradition with the Viper compositions. All of the high loot tier goes to the Viper so that she can live the entire build-up of that V1.
Yeah, and one thing too is that we saw this earlier into that fight over the Sunwings when the Viper just stunned from the sky, and that was from KFL. Now, taking a look and seeing another contesting team in terms of leaderboard, Hypercube, Realm Yang depletion. Having a chance of seeing whether or not there's going to be a crackle into the scene, because considering that Hypercube has ultimates on standby, they're just trying to look for a lockdown here for Lucio, hopefully to see if there's a chance for the F1, if the Wisp is going to be good for Chile. Otherwise, he's going to have to invest that V1 ultimate. It's going to happen from the Temi. And that they can't catch a Lucio is because he created so much more distance right now that just gives him enough chance to kind of bait out this team. And he can also cause an instigation towards his Zest Winery, because you can see right now to the map, I called it. Instigation could be heard. XMBs in the vicinity here with Valiant Challenger, and now it's going to be heard across the board. There's the V1 coming from Chile. Now it's going to give XMB more reason to chase this out, because Taliska is away from the team, and now going to regroup here, looking to take a fight for 45 seconds and hopefully finding elimination. Getting caught by the R&B, is getting caught at the staggers. There's going to be F1 from Taliska looking for the investment first. Now seeing that the Zai ultimate's out, can't do anything about that, so he's going to get a full swipe here and looking to try to go for the Fear and Blast. Back and forth, there's another parry, this time from Bokai, and looking to try to pick up the weapon, but there's going to be a hit for the F2 from the Matari, and back and forth between the Zypher versus Sand Siphon. Taliska keeping the RMBs alive, but the Kurumi ultimate's about to deplete here from both sides, and there's going to be the last Fear and Blast. F1's back up again for Taliska, and look at that Chili. He's going to get the first one elimination, as it's going to be elimination from this side for that solo. Hopefully he picks it up. Yes, Taliska will get rid of the Roman depletion, but it's going to be a 2v2. No sense finds the perfect timing for the F3, and with the jabbing in effect, this is going to go into hands down the biggest fight, because Lucio's arriving to this point, and I'm hoping he's not going to greet this one out.
Oh yeah, Lucio's been waiting for that third party opportunity. Hypercube still down Chile, going to now have to take the fight. Here comes Risk, here comes the reinforcements. Rustam shows up on the scene. Taliska realizes the third party and just dips out of the fight. He's going to give No Sense that ability to teleport to him with the tether. Yep, No Sense will be able to hit the teleport. Taliska swaps to the bow to try and hit the bell and get a read on whether or not Risk is going to try and follow Hypercube into the corruption, into the storm, to prioritize getting that kill and adding to the tally on the leaderboard. In the meantime, we've got Plumeria's team with this Volta composition out in the open world. Mado on that Farrier, just healing on up as well as providing additional pressure, putting all of the players of NPC, forcing that position into the backside of that cliff, which just means such a claustrophobic space for Plumeria and Spooner to take advantage of, with just the insane spacing of the Volda and the Liam ultimate getting to work off of each other. In the meantime, it's going to be WK going head-to-head with BWG. WK getting that Wuchen teleport forced early, still holding on to ZDD's Viper V1. BWG need a mammoth game to be able to come back in terms of standings. They need 20 plus points to be able to close up the distance and get themselves into a second place finish. And they've still got one extra game, but that pressure has got to be getting to them right now.
And especially for Risk, I mean, they're even closer behind in terms of the standings. For them to have a couple eliminations, they'll have a good chance of just beating out KFL potentially. But Risk, Predator getting locked out here, going to have a little bit of worrisome efforts as Taliska is back into the play of things, get caught by the grapple bomb. Nicely done from Rustam. I love that. That's a little bit of pressure for the CC, and that way you can see whether he's going to force Furin for the first time. There is the first one, though, to come out. No Sense charging the heck out of this. Going for the double point release, and now going to be the ultimates to be casted out. Lucio is setting up the teleport. The F2 from Rustam go for the teleport. It's going to happen as Rustam backs off here. He's at 87, 88 percentage points for his ultimate for V1. So when the Cicada Furin runs out, guess who's going to be the first one to know? It's going to be up to Rustam to make sure that happens. F1 from Taliska, though. Swipes coming out, the bind's going to be occurred. No Sense tap dodges it, double down. And with the F2 sounds coming from Rustam, he is rushing right back in to try to go for a single hit kit with the R&Bs. Doesn't get it. Lucio swipes right back in here. Predator getting it caught by the bind again and again. There's going to be a clink number 2. Predator looking to try to go for the hold check. Gets that parry right then and there, but it's going to be a one-trick pony for Taliska as the only remaining teammate for Hypercube, and now is going down. Risk suddenly have 3 eliminations. This is really close. Now is the top team that they need to contest against. So Hypercube has to work into the last round, and hopefully he's seen about where they're going to stand, considering that KFL, I think, are still just going to rock this one out.
Yeah, and I mean, Rustam as well did not have to utilize the Viper V1, which is huge. If this team have to take a fight before Lucio or Predator are ready, Rustam has that card that's going to allow them all of the spacing to be able to recover from that initial powder keg of aggression, as we're going to see them roll all of the coins in their inventory probably, as together they are sitting on an absolute gold mine of Darktide coins. There's your answer to what KFL have been up to. Living. They've been playing Survivor at the moment. They've been able to piece together 3 kills throughout the entirety of this map so far, but for the most part, they are just trying to live as long as they possibly can. They know how close the standings are. They want to try and make sure that they're going to be able to put themselves into a position where they can catch out the most amount of players, especially given the fact that if this final zone goes to this area and Riemann is able to, as a Viper, put himself onto those treetops, and we get traditional, like, OG Naraka end zones with Vipers tumbling out of the trees, like apples falling from the sky, with Newton just having discovered gravity with that V1 attachment. Oh boy, we're in for a treat.
Yeah, going to be coming out here from theories and laws, because now BWG here in the vicinity with purple armors across the board, just trying to get as much gold as possible for quest lines. And they have purple armors, they got purple weapons. This is going to be a good standpoint right now for the remaining 17 players left alive, and them being one of the 3 in there for forcing opponents for them to look out for. And hopefully to see where this is going to lead into the final circle. I mean, this is the force into Morris Isle. And like you mentioned, the moment the Vipers have trees around them, they're going to look for a setup that's unprecedented beyond nature. And even then, you can also look forward to the investment of using V1 Wuchen from the sky. If that really comes down for Viper to take that from that teammate, then they drop down with full attack buff, full stun capabilities across the field, and then just being able to meet her down. But Mado, PSA, fighting out XMB. This is a fight for PSA, and PSA are killing it with the unpredictable with this comp. I mean, I gotta be honest, it probably took a lot of teams by surprise running into Sunwing and then seeing it and be like, wait, what's going on here? And 15 eliminations is on the board for PSA. For their standings, if you guys are curious about seeing about where they stand, they're currently in 9th, 21 points overall still. But if they take this 15-point game, 36 points, they skyrocket past in terms of 5th place and potentially into 4th. So long as they keep that momentum into the end point, if they were to catch a multiplier with, like, let's say 20 points, right, 5 eliminations potentially to see about it, they'll definitely have to be a contending team. This is going to be the closest we've seen between multiple teams into this final round coming in next. And since PSA ran their Valda twice, I mean, listen, they could potentially bring it out for the 3rd time if they have hero points kind of left over, but it is going to be up to the notion on PSA's behalf of whether or not the team is going to pull it out because of how much value comes through, or if the teams are going to adapt towards that team comp selection for when the time comes.
Yeah, it's so hard as well to, like, keep a track, because these players, they don't see the skins, they don't see the nameplates. So if they see a Ferrier, they're gonna probably assume, oh, it's a cannonball composition. You're not expecting a Volder and a Liam to come through as the 2nd and 3rd hero pick. Potentially we get to see Mado's team now go up against BWG, who've just been spotted going for an early rotation. They do not want to rotate late and get the full heat of all of these teams in the area, as we can see that Mado, Spooner, and Plumera are starting to move up ever so slowly to get a better read of the composition that just entered their territory. Zay not really wanting to make his first move at the moment. We know that BWG are running the Siphon. It is going to be a fight fully coming on through, with Mado in that first position trying to find the lockdown. Doesn't manage to land the silence onto Lexan, but Lexan taking all of the pressure as that vein of support utilizes the blip, gets out, with Zay coming on through with that Zai V2, helped and aided by that Matari ultimate now coming on out. Zay has to be careful, gets sniped by the cannon shot coming through from Mado's mech, goes incredibly low. There are so many teams in the area too. If BWG aren't careful, they're about to get 3rd and 4th partied as everyone falls out of the treetops, having seen the dust up. Lexan with the cannon shot's going to be putting pressure on Tomato. Karumi on the circle, gonna be coming on out as here comes the third party. WK showing up to the ball, uninvited with the Viper ultimate. Mado gets stunned, loses the mech. BWG taking advantage of that chaos are going to full disengage. They live to see another day and they owe WK their thanks.
Yeah, Mado almost got trapped there. I was kind of worried for my boy because that treetop was going to come through. But WK looking at a pistol shot in the opposite direction towards Risk. Spiral in the play for gold armor, 2 gold weapons, 2 gold Shadowjades. Hopefully it works on the benefit of WK right now because they're at around 6 points. And if they get a massive lead in terms of Shadowjade displacement like Aurora Burst, Merciless Havoc, things of that nature, that staff is going to have so much more value for Tizzy T. And hoping to see in whether or not they're going to be getting good weapons alongside, or whether range, whether melee. Let's take a look at the scene. No one's contesting it. Gold staff. Gold staff coming through here and actually to be picked up and with jabbing. So for everything coming out, they find a lockdown, man. The assassination is going to be completely real. XMB in the skylines are looking for the tree houses and hoping to capture out one second to the next. I see BWG. Bokai having not a lot of armor here, looking to try to go for the spams. Not a lot of resources either. Only 1 armor powder left into the field for themselves, and having baby armor powders in standby for Bokai. Just trying to find anyone who's trying to be in the back line. Spooner getting some fights against Zay, some poke mode perhaps, as Zay is going to be rotating around. And PSA, BWG really going to head-to-head here in a moment. If it happens, it's going to occur in a flash of an eye because Risk is fighting up BWG as well for some range shots. So is in the case scenario against Mado. So it's going to be a 3-way fight between these teams in the tree line.
I think the teams that spotted out the BWG had to burn ultimates when they were fighting Mado's team earlier. Zone is going to be pushing some of these teams into having to rotate so that they don't get caught out, the likes of KFL, who are a little bit behind everybody, and the rest of the lobby in terms of loot disparity, so they're going to have to rotate early. They're not going to be eyeing up to punish any of these teams in this rotation, but that Bane's Breath is pretty brutal for a lot of these teams to have to rotate through if they're not careful. Risk fully living up to their name and going directly down the middle of it. Going to be able to rotate before the first AoE splashes start to hit. Have they realized that there's a team directly on the left? KFL having early rotated, not being spotted out by these players. That's why they rotated as early as they did. And there's our answer. Risk absolutely unaware of the team that is literally a stone's throw away from this Viper, Hardy, and Liam coming on through. They've cleared one side. They have not cleared the purple bushes on the other side. This is absolutely insane. KFL must be having an absolute horror show right now. There's WK getting some scouting information on where XMB have ended on up. Mado going to be battling with BWG as Risk decide to take a little bit of pressure onto KFL, who've now been spotted out and having to rotate away in the hopes of the Bane's Breath keeping everyone's attention at bay. Who is going to be the first in line to actually have to burn an ultimate on the front line? BWG seeming to take all of the pressure every single time we look to the right side. They're the ones that are constantly being pressured by every single team in this lobby. But when does that pressure become an absolute fight that they cannot possibly avoid? The answer might be now. Risk breaking out the ranged weaponry and the cannon shots coming on through to put pressure onto XMB. Mado's team are actually the ones that make a play for the Spirit Well. Can't see what buff is inside of that one serve, but BWG are also going to be tipping their hat towards it. Zay dropping down with that Zai ultimate. We can see off in the distance. Gets the Karumi Tether as well to be able to afford that forward aggressive play. This is the only way that BWG are going to be able to get some of the loot necessary and aggression to make a play for the rest of this lobby. They know that they need the kills. They know that they need that MVP slot. But how much is it going to cost? Feria is going to be on the line with the V3. Jin-Chan running now, rampant with the Cavalry Bloom on those dual blades, looking to find some of the lockdowns on these players. Comes the Viper ultimate and the stun. Jin-Chan incredibly low. Is he going to be able to get his team away? No! The Tessa ultimate follow-up from the Viper stun as here comes the nukes. V1s on the Vipers across the board. KFL with Riemann dropping down with a V1 of his own before his team Wuchen teleports away. Spiritwell still has not been capped by any of these players as it's Risk and XMB who walk away with the kills.
The spam of ultimates has come to its utmost potential, and everyone's rotating through the Viper ultimates. Lucio having ultimate back up here for that lever again if he needs it. Creditor in a little bit of a touch spot. Rustum, though, it attempts the reset. He's going to take it. Spooner, though, Mado, PSA as a whole. Mado finding a full reset even after the various Shen ultimates. Kind of crazy. Spearwell still in the hands, though. XMB getting caught by the bind as Spooner's going to spam it out here for the Oryx Sword, and hoping to see whether he's going to activate another one and try to get the bind alive. There's the F3. The contesting is going to be happening now. He's got 75% for the Spearwell, and it looks like Bokai has to back off. Noob is down. There's a Sustained Goddess. Karumi is out of the game so far. And another chance for that Ferris to begin. And I think the clear is going to be had. Bokai has to separate from this team fights. Lucio on the hottie duty. Gonna go see Mado stationary on this Spearwell with no chance of clearing it. All the range shots are coming in, like we mentioned through. The Farius Shen just gets pocketed away from any of the other teams the moment they see her in the endgame circle for range shots. And Mado's be getting himself nicely tidied on the branch and looking for another chance for that enchant to work out here for KFL. And with Mado on the top level, the tree line, Spooner backline, and he's just chilling here with the longsword. BWJ, same case. We were looking for placement, and guess who found him out? Ryomen, just because he was able to grapple towards that. F3 message from Zay. Spearwell still being contested. Lucio going to be going ahead and trying to see that parry. There it is from Predator. Predator's been hitting a lot of parries today. Cloud from Windy to try to go ahead and hit Mado hit the wall, and a res coming in here for Plumeria. This is a huge res considering the potential with the V2 shield coming in from Plumeria and just locking down the potential for all the teams in this worry ward position. 2 minutes left on the clock. Ryomen's still trying to get himself some rage, try to keep himself kiting across the treetops and just kicking left and right and just using the fist blades. But this is going to be a potential right then and there for seeing whether or not KFL can just catch this dub, and hopefully for the other teams as well for risk, and hoping to see if any sort of stragglers come into play when the V2 from the Volta comes out to play.
Question is, do we have any hotties that have gone unspotted? Rayman trying to, like you said, get that last little bit of rage generated so he can squirrel himself up in one of these trees with that V1. We know that Cloudweaver is in play for one of these teams as well. Blistering Edge hitting on to the Liam, putting all of the pressure. Rayman getting caught out, going to go incredibly low, lose all of his armor into the corruption, take damage. Does he go? Has to put himself into the tree with the grapple to avoid the LOS of the Viper ultimate before coming down with one of his own. This is going to be an absolute huge stun, but can KFL play off of it? No! Windy goes down in the interim. Risk are able to pick up another one. Rayman now having to put himself onto the low, just drop down with the charged LMVs on these fist plates, looking to find a kill to be able to grab a soul bloom and get a little bit of sustain back, but he goes into the path of the Zai, gets caught up by the golden fire cone and goes down. KFL now reduced to just Yak, trying to keep himself out of notice on those trees before coming through with that pole sword and landing some of these hits on players unsuspecting of that blistering that's about to be on their backs. We've got a cliff still in play, and as a result, it's going to be the scale rush. We do have a Hardy still in the mix. Zay is unfortunately going to go down to try and give BWG a little bit more survival points. Spooner and Plumeria still alive. Plumeria goes down before the V2 can come into play for the Volda, and as a result, Spooner's team will not be able to outlive everybody else in this lobby. It's Risk instead with a huge game. I believe they got 11 kills in that match serve, and they got the last team standing, which means meaty kill multiplier for the team that were incredibly close to being able to break into the top 2.
Yeah, they're calling the comps out here a gabagool energy, guys. I don't know what else to kind of put it out here, because first place coming out for Risk, they're catching the multiplier, and they have themselves, I think, the 11 elimination mark and catching that placement. But I think potentially PSA take MVP that round. I mean, we haven't even named out MVPs for the games, but that comp that PSA is running is kind of suspect. I'm going to be 100% honest. We got to see what the standings are going to be looking for this, because we're going to go through a break. We're going to Predoria. We're going to the Eventide time frame for the Fireflies. Be right back, folks. Make sure you catch a little bit of rest, because we're going to have an explosive finish here for the final round for Shadowjade Trios. Guys, it's here. We're at the final round. We're here into round 6 for Shadowjade Trios Finals. My name's Severio alongside with God Moxie. We got ourselves into game 6 very, very shortly. We have standings to look at. We need to see what's going to happen here for the top 3 to top 4 because top 2, that's the only players are going to be able to make it to the J Cup for the qualification. And 63.6 is for risk takers. KFL taking 58.2. 56.3 for Hypercube, BWG with the 42.2 day so far, and PSA at 41.5 after yet last game. I'm curious to see about what those boys are going to be standing up here for comp selections.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see what risk takers have in store when it comes to composition. Because like I was talking to you before we went into game number 1, and I said I think what risk takers is going to do is going to throw a couple of people, throw a lot of teams for a loop on Friday when we got to see them all scrim against each other with the hero pick rule. And you can see that momentum has carried forward. Risk running these really off-the-wall weird matchup Frankenstein sort of like mishmashes of compositions, but are really good in terms of not just comfort picks, so they understand the hero really well in and out, but also synergize surprisingly well together, as we talked about. Like that Valder and the Liam, the V2 and the V1 getting to play off of each other and providing a lot of opportunities that you wouldn't normally see, because one of the criticisms that we have about Valder Ultimate is how easy it can be for a lot of teams who are expecting when it comes through to be able to dodge, just the same as the Liam V1. So it's really nice getting to see those two actually synergize and play off of each other to sort of cover for some of those weaknesses and set up the composition to be stronger. But that does beg the question, with the hero points rule enabled, what compositions are we going to see, given that it is the last game of the day? And not just that, it's such a crucial one, right? Predoria, increased Fireflies, last game of the day. You do not have any more chances. If this is the time to go aggressive and grab a composition that is going to throw a couple of teams for a surprise, now is absolutely the time to do it. And we are going to be seeing immediate fights breaking out. So many players landing into Arcadia to try and just get that fight off of the rip as well, secure that Volpine Essence. We're not going to be following those teams, though. We're going to be looking at Hypercube and playing up against WK. Taliska coming on through with the Wuchen slaps, looking to try and find some of these staggers on the players. Finally able to pick up a weapon and go in with that dagger, and it looks like they're just going to kill the poor WK player off of Stoneform Clank. That's not a position any of us like to be in.
Yeah, I mean, lockdown in there towards the Tincture Woods. They'll make their way potentially towards the Azoth Peak. We'll have to see how that's going to end up. WK2, though, fighting elimination against Spooner here into the risk fight. We have Creditor up against the recipients of PSA, as Mado's also going to be the second one getting eliminated. We see Plumeria into the back line. Risk is not going to be playing around here. They're playing Sand Siphon into this round. They're holding the horizontal, and a lot of picks will lead towards Sand Siphon to Keelan Hottie comp. You know how it's going to go through. If it ends up being going towards that, we're going to see Hex on a double, triple intestine enchant here. Risk having the V2 from Rustum to try to see about the proc, but Rustum goes down before they proc it. A silence, key component onto Creditor, going down there for the elimination. A Tabby Wisp of Destiny coming for the R&B's. Backliners are showing up here for Cicada, and of course another chance for a secondary test enchant coming up from Wooey in the immediate uppercut. Lucio gets caught with the enchant, and that's the R&B. That's elimination 3 so far, and a whole source swing coming on WK2 as Key is going to be coming after the release as a Temi. Now, as much as it comes down towards this, the control for Blues is going to be necessary. The F1, there's the somersault, there's a recast for the ultimate, there's another parry from 8-8. Wooey on the F1 for that combo breaker, though, and the V3 that Sachiko can set up, but that's not going to be the case. They eliminate before it comes out from the full proc. No silence can stop the Cicada from going out full motion for an ultimate and confirming these eliminations against Hex.
Temi ultimate's going to make it harder, though, for Hex to be able to live through that fight. Squeaky goes down. Sachiko also has been removed. Can Wooey be able to break away from this fight using the staff mobility without having to sacrifice his revive? Looks potentially like he can. This is really risky. Sachiko and Squeaky both have spawned back into the exact area that the fight is still going. The Salty run back in full motion to try to regroup and help Wooey, who's now gone into the team of WK2. Coming on through with that Cicada ultimate, Wooey with the Tesla will be able to find an enchantment onto 2 players of that team. All of the pressure going onto the Kurumi, so she can't utilize that F30 and tank all of the damage of the rest of the team. Unfortunately, Wooey is going to get caught by a third party from another Tesla team coming into the mix, and Hex having to just try and salvage any spacing that they can, putting the pressure onto NPC's Anacor with that Viper, managing to find the charge R&B on the staff into the jump horizontal finish. And they will be able to find the Wuchen teleport onto Sachiko to be able to pick the Viper up into play. That was so risky from Hex, burning that revive so early early on though, Serve. This team is not playing around. They know that they have to get so many kills. They're not taking any second chances. They have to be so very careful though, because it leaves them incredibly vulnerable.
I'm on the edge of my seat. I just saw BWG roll up to them in the sidelines, and I saw Keelan. So for BWG, it's going to be a fight. I really wish we could see that. WK, though, fighting out towards into the horse service burrow. With them taking fights out to the vicinity here, it looks like it's going to be a chance to see the lockdown. But there we're going back to where the action's happening. This is going to be crucial here. BWG going for the Hottie ultimate for immediately investment here from this case. Wooey not having an ultimate cast to be available. Looks like it's going to be caused out here for the R&B. There's a release. A movement has been dropped through into the background. You can see that teleporter set up for number 1. Zay's going to take the first one. Second one's going to be egregious towards this because it looks like Hypercube are arriving to this scene. Hypercube, no sense, trying to go for this chance. There's going to be the R&Bs. There's going to be the Tesla chance to lock this one down here as Wooey puts himself here to scale rush. As much as the verticality, he does not have a soul bloom. There's going to be a V3 coming up from Sachiko, if I'm not mistaken, potentially, yes, to kind of commit towards getting a stagger here and confirming a kill for the R&Bs. There's a release. There's no sense going down. Whether or not the Wuchen Port's going to come out here in time, who knows? Taliska's going to be going out. Tesla a chance to get that tether to decide upon where that team is. Sachiko's going to get res here. We know the reset's going to be necessary, but Wooey, he's just going W key energy, man. He's got his purple staff, his purple spear going through. He is not going to keep this aggression going to a minimum. If they decide to push, he's ready for it. Even though he's at 24, he's got no grappling. I didn't hear no bell.
Well, you might hear a ballista in a minute, because Hex have been able to kite onto the top of ballista. Wooey with the dodge, able to avoid getting caught out by that Tessa ultimate. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for Sachiko, and as a result, he has to utilize the charged vertical pressure from that spear to save his teammate. Hypercube committing to this fight, having invested that Bane's Breath, going to be putting pressure onto the rotation that Hex's team tries to take. They've seen that Squeaky had to utilize that witch and teleport to get everyone out of the fight, and as a result, we are going to see the chase. They kite all the way up into Azov's Peak to try and just lose all of the sight of their pursuers. Cut noise, so the Hypercube do not have any idea of where exactly Hex have run off to. As we've talked about, Hex are going to be 2 of their players without revives, and Squeaky is one of them. Looks like he's just been the sacrifice that Hex have chosen to lead Hypercube on a little bit of a merry goose chase. Potentially, oh, if he just swerved a left, he would have been able to lead them directly into BWG.
Yeah, I saw Lex into the vicinity, into the west side. And I'm hoping to see they're going to go east. They're going to be chasing back into Arcade, but I mean more so into the Paris Pavilion, I should say. XMB Bokai, though, up against Risk. Risk at the top of the leaderboard right now, and they're getting caught out here. Creditor goes down for their first life, and no sense finding out Squeaky here. There it is, going to be the elimination. Still having a chance of coming back, potentially. Creditor down. This is the final lives for Risk as well. Wow, we have some risky gamers coming through. Okay, it's just getting caught out because Creditor is no longer able to come back into the game. Lucio is also on the cusp of being one of the few to get eliminated. If he continues to keep that momentum of staying alive for as long as possible, Rustin, though, just creating more distance, goes straight towards Cinderfell and maybe to the Skygaze Coast soon. Who knows? But Lucio, man, catching a lot of chances of just getting scare rushes, has F1 in about 5 seconds just to catch that chance of being iframe and, you know, throwing it to his opponents and just buying more and more time here. And for the Rock Paul, ballistas cannot be used here for Lucio. I know he wants to, but the F2 comes out from the Matari. There's going to be the Whisk Throw, but that's not going to be enough here. As the Zai comes out for the F3, the 1, 2, 3s get a release. We release those, and that's the elimination. Karsa finds it for the team. X and B catching more eliminations here. 2 on the board, both of them coming out of the vicinity from Risk, and now Shadow Corruption is not going to be collapsing here. We still have the Romy Yang, so we'll look out here for the next minute.
I mean, we did say that this lobby was all or nothing. You had to get aggressive if you went in those top 2 spots, and it seems, Serve, like all of the teams have heard us and listened to us. Unfortunately, some of that aggression might have been a little bit misplaced. It's going to be really hard for some of these teams to be able to stick the landing if they have to recover their players with rebirth charms, because then they have to gain all of that loot back, and that frees up all of the momentum potential for teams going into the Realm of Yang and then getting to utilize that to snowball into Spirit World caps, especially with the composition that BWG is on. Like, they don't have a lot of kills. In fact, currently they have 0 kills, which is really unfortunate for them. What they do have is loot, and a lot of it, and this composition is very, very strong going into the Realm of Yang, which is exactly what they're going to be posturing up for. Unfortunately for them, it's not just going to be a Realm of Yang that spawns up where they are, it's also going to be a Spirit Well with Mystic Might, which means that all of the teams who don't normally go to where the Realm of Yang spawn are now going to be sort of congealing in the same position so that they can grief the capped Spirit Well attempts with a Tessa Vibrant Wuchen. So BWG gonna have to be very careful how they trade. In fact, I think the second the portal goes through, they just immediately walk through it, and they're gonna be taking a fight against WKT.
It's going to be difficult. I saw outside of Romiang, Hex is also on the board against Hypercube, and Hypercube being stacked out with the eliminations could just look for that chance. Now we're going to go ahead and looking for the Scrabble to the sky. BWG taking to the skies. Lucio, or Gene looking to get the lever tech ready to go, and he's setting himself up for that rage retention. Look, 56%. Looking to try to worry about whether or not he's going to get a grapple stagger. Not going to be the case. Just keeping himself aloof. Charging up the RMBs for the pole sword, backing away. Looking for the charge up here. For the ultimate coming up from Zay. He has that no armor, literally to 1 bar. He's looking to try to get some strikes out here. 8-8, looking to try to capture it out for wind blast and staggers. We still got cubes ready to go here for BWG. Looking at 70% for the rage. Catches a fully nice horizontal blue focus. Extremely doing a lot of work here. And there's going to be Coco getting caught by the binding of the staggers from the kill. And then Key still looking at full armor. A whisk second that gives Vegeta a little more time of just not being able to put the pressure on, but it's still going to happen. He's got ultimate for the second time. And if they need to take that right now, it's going to be used offensively. I'm telling you, 2 players still left. We still see the tether to be active. The Gene catching himself for the teleporter, goes straight onto offensive duty, seeing 1 armor heal. Look for the dodges, look for the Takeda ultimate, and now realizing, oh, wait a second, the Takeda ultimate hasn't been procced, and now we're going to see the pressure coming out here. Either they can get the kill off of Temi, and that's going to be the case. Lexion with a bow shot in the background. The Gene looking to try to go forth and getting a level 2 swing. He's going to get knocked upon it, and that's going to be double kills right then and there. And of course, a parry from the backline, but this time coming out from WKT. And if everything comes out from 2 squad, this is going to be Coco's demise. And if everything comes out from EWG, looking for the RMBs, there's the LMB, there's the LMB, and that's going to be the eliminations coming through on this end as Coco. 1 pistol shot, 2 pistol shot, double LMBs from Lexington. That's gonna be eliminations. And now we're looking at Crybaby's team coming apart with KFL, and it looks like it's gonna be a 3v2 so far in the favor of Crybaby.
Yeah,
now
no
2v2.
combo breaker, no kill and ultimate available for ZX Blast. It's gonna be taking a little bit of downtime on the sidelines of the fight to get one of those shields back before trying to put pressure off of the spacing created by his player with that fan. Unfortunately, gets parried. Now goes for the charge vertical. Doesn't actually throw towards the heart. He turns and throws it at the teammate instead, so the parry will not be found. The combo breaker having to be called in to avoid the follow-up of the Dragon Slayers into the Nezhas. Eats a huge hit of the charge on that longsword for Riemann with the halberds. Goes for the RMBs onto the back of ZX Blast. Throws out another one, gets parried off of the spear, and as a result, that's 3 Dragon Slayers into Nezha's cleave. Riemann now incredibly low. Goes for the jump horizontals with the fist plates before trying to put pressure in with the charged RMBs into the charged LMBs. Will be able to buy his teammate the space of being able to lock ZX Blast down. And KFL will be able to claim the fight for the win. In the meantime, BWG have not slowed down. They've got the Vermilion Birthmite. They've got that second lease on life. We said that the compositions that normally wouldn't take Realm of Yang fights would be in the area because of how close that Spirit Well spawned up. And as a result, they've immediately been able to pick off another team just having exited that portal, going for the bell, trying to catch any players who look to disengage. As in the meantime, I do believe that might be WK2 knocked out of the lobby fully.
Yes, it will be an XMB is also in the vicinity. Noob trying to keep the tether alive here. Rex with Crybaby's team making that motion here. I mean, they got a floating platform here as well, so the moment the ult end, they could find themselves a Firefly from that point on. And of course, having the chance of seeing about the guarding effect of that slash there, ZX Blast even more so since that Kurumi ultimate wasn't going to come out in the first place due to that Forbidden Seal being activated. They still secure that kill elimination. Now towards into the Imperial camp. Nope, Ancient Stockade. It looks like it's going to be the case out here for WK. Having Jin Shen, no ultimate yet. Tizzy T as well. They're looking to lock down forth into chasing out Hypercube to Chili. This is crazy. This is absolutely bonkers. If Chili's team and Hypercube, they knocked out the test in the backline, they could capture her easily. But there's going to be that chance. They don't force the pressure on Takeda. They said ignore it, take the fight. Kurumi like, wait, that's the wrong person. And Ballista's in play. Now they're going to have to look to try to reposition towards that cliffside. And now it's going to be the double intense enchant. Parry coming from Tizzy T. Looking to try to knock back Taliska. The F1 to kind of reposition himself and catching shield walls as a result. F1 from Tizzy to keep that immunity status from getting the iframe from the enchant. And goes for a meter dump. Just blind time for No Sense as it comes out. Chili's down. And now No Sense is in the close position here, just getting locked by RMBs. And looking to try to charge up, try to buy out time for the escape. And if anything comes out, WK from 5 eliminations or 6 eliminations, trying to look for their 7th. They're just being able to climb up into the leaderboard right now. I mean, they're at 7th overall from game post 5, and now they're going to find that elimination. Now they're at 7, and this is going to be where we're looking at the leaderboard overall. We see BWG actually burning out towards burning their the buffs that they had at hand for the Vermilions, and they'll be just approaching towards the sightlines, just running around before the second Realm Yang appears.
Really clean stuff coming through from Tizzy T. Not just being able to iframe that Tessa Teva snap, but also applying the Assault Smolder onto the disengaging players that ever so slowly they just burn out gradually to the fire tick that has been applied to their health bar. We can have a look at the wider map and see how these teams are going to be positioning, and more importantly, who is actually left in this lobby, because my goodness, Risk snapped down to just Rustum, WK2 removed, NPC removed, even Plumeria, Mado, and Spooner's team all have been knocked out of this lobby before the second realm of Yang portals have even spawned on up. In fact, we're going to get to see Rustum. I believe he's going to, well, yeah, he's going to grab a rebuff charm. There must have been a spirit well that spawned up. In fact, that was the spirit well that was contesting near the realm of Yang. So he's going to be able to grab one of those rebuff charms for free. As we've talked about previously in the broadcast, they do not despawn. And that's going to be Lucio, not Creditor, who is going to be coming back into the mix. Has to be careful that they don't stick around in the corruption damage too long. Good news for them is that they picked that moment beautifully. Rustum times it so that when the second realm of Yang comes on through, all of the other teams are going to be looking at that rather than Risk's team going into the zone, grabbing that rebuff charm and trying to make a play for recovery.
Yeah, and now for Rustin trying to find that economy of just getting back in. It's going to be a slow roll, but they do have 3 eliminations. They still have first place so far. PSA being knocked out, it's kind of a big, sigh of relief for them if they think that team's going to pop through. But now it's up to between risk takers, KFL, and Hyperq. I know there's only one teammate left. BWG taking Ramyang, though, 5 eliminations so far. And with V2 on the standby, no ultimate for Lexan yet. I mean, he's only at like 40 percentage points. We see a fight, our team to be spotting in here, and it's going to be KFL to contest this. So now it's up to see that Gold Fan and in full works, because Vegeta's in the sky. Look at it, get at the teleporter, sets it up, deactivates, lever tag, nice parry from that cab, loom anticipation, looks for the RMB 1. Gets top of the RB in second time, but he's going to have to invest his own combo breaker. Now Vegeta going for that blistering edge. The portal is popped 2 times. Coming in from KFL. Reposition towards the pillar. Zay looking to find the backline. He finds Windy. Windy has ultimate ready to go here and try to mitigate this Keelan slashes. He's going to go ahead and proc it out, and the blistering edge is still on the spam duty from Vegeta. Now the teleporter taken from BWG side. Looking for a 3-man swipe. Now looking to see whether or not Windy can get knocked out here, but there's going to be a Keelan pressure coming in from KFL as Yak puts it out here and beating out the winner as the solos. He's going to be able to be trying to showcase his team for the trios. And of course, he's looking to slash this one out. The beacon is used, and Windy is going to go ahead and be one of the persons on the ground level looking for the fight against Zay. Zay F1's invested the R&B to try to mitigate any pressure from staggers as Zay keeps the rotation out here. Ryoman is just going to be on this onslaught duty, and with Windy carrying the staggers from the grapple stagger, sees the F1. Zay picks it up from the zipping Ying Bowl, and now he's going to look for the hold for blues, but now Yak has his dual blades again, and now he's going to release his R&Bs instead and looking to try to keep it in place for his team to find the connection. There's a parry from Zay. He gets Windy out almost with 1 HP with a jump LME from Ryoman. Keeps the momentum, and now KFL in this 2v2 situation. Lexan getting focused out here as Ryoman gets himself focused out, takes the F2, takes the glide, looks for the scare rush, guiding around here for the next 40 seconds or so, or otherwise ending sooner. There's the parry, there's the goal fist plays, F1 from Yak. I'm not even sure who picked up those fist plays, but it looks like BWG are going to earn their victory in that Ramyang and take it outside of this fight.
Oh, that parry was absolutely clutch from Bashim, because it meant that Yak had to burn the combo breaker of the F1 to peel for his player, so that the parry punishment didn't find the kill immediately. On the outside, we've got Hex still in the mix coming on through Sachiko's Viper V3. Unfortunately, there's absolutely nothing he can do, as he's just being batted around. And as a result, Squeaky is forced into just pulling out the Wuchen teleport so that Hex can run from that fight. WK now going to be in hot pursuit, knowing that Hex are going to be out of sorts when it comes to that ultimate economy. In the meantime, X and B, we can see on the lower right of the screen, are able to find Risk's Lucio. Risk's Rustum has also been spotted out because they weren't split. The Zip, unfortunately, running into a Zyphon composition, incredibly low. Into the V2 we go, and will fall to the setup stagger, which allowed Noob to find the follow-up on that fan. Risk are out of this lobby, and that opens up the leaderboard entirely Severia. Risk, who were leading, not going to be able to set all that many points on this last game. And just like yesterday with solos, we have absolutely no clue of how close all of these teams are on who is actually going to be able to book those first and second position slots.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy here, too, because I'm considering that they got the 3 eliminations. I don't know if they got a 0.5, but if so, if not, they're going to have 66.6 points overall, still into the standings for Risk. But we still have to see how it's going to end up for KFL and just trying to go ahead and get a surpassing lead of 8 kills or more. Hexto, on the other hand, Ascension 4, I'm actually taking the chance of rezzing out here. Safety net for Wooey. Here's that WK has spotted him, unfortunately, and that's going to be the F2 to glide out here. That's the investment that's going to be needed to get some momentum going. No grapples in this headway. And now it's going to be the case where they're going to get looted out here from both Squeaky and Wooey, but the timing here is impeccable. As WK, I'm not even sure they're going to be able to spot out Sachiko. He has no grapples. This is like heart rate BPM 160 right now for him and trying to keep the team going through for the end game. But they don't have the necessary resources to buy up a Reaper Charms, nor do they have a chance of being able to find Spirit Wells in order to get that chance of rezzing with it. But BWG, man, they want this fight. They want to go ahead and take this opportunity to make it known. The Draco Storm is going to be had and no chance of getting the armor powder heals. ZX Blast is on offensive duty from Crybaby's team. Catches that first horizontal. Zay looking to try to go ahead and dodge it out, but he gets caught. There's going to be the Draco to keep staying alive for Zay, and he's getting the F1 bolt. He's getting a lot of healing over time, and he's going to be knocking towards the horse service burrow. Zay has to burn time to get back in here. ZX Blasto is still close towards the door, that store with burning healing guard, and Zay's going to go ahead and spam this out. The teleporter is going to be used. Slowly has the roar burst. He locks down Bajin. Bajin is silenced. He can't do anything about it. He's going to have to burn F2. He burns it. He gets his ultimate back up for another teleporter to be ready, and BWG looking for the RMB, seeing about whether or not Slow is going to get knocked out here. 8 eliminations for BWG. They need to get these ones in order to secure more placement points overall, and Zay finding the RMB as Rex is going to be locking through here, but ZX Blast is on standby for parry duty. RMB's come out, so is Zay ready for the erudition with a purple focus. Slowly goes down. It's a 2v3 right now, and BWG are just catching that 9th elimination and hoping to pick up their 10th. There's the F1, takes the teleporter to reposition, and Zay is back on offensive duty. RMB spam, hopefully to see the chase for the fan, and hopefully to see whether or not a parry can be heard here, because whether or not ZX Blast is to live, it's going to be the Draco Storm that defeats them, and that's going to be the elimination factor 10 so far, given towards BWG.
And that's the Aurora Burst, 100%. If there's one thing that BWG are picking up from Slowy's body, it's the Aurora Burst. Bajin did such a good job, by the way, so too did Lexan. It was Aurora Burst versus Wild Windspout, and if the Aurora Burst was able to find a hit, BWG were absolutely cooked. Like, Bajin wouldn't have been able to set up the cube, wouldn't have been able to get his team the ability of just repositioning up onto the high and getting away from things. Like, it was really risky when that fight kicked up and that Aurora Burst came through, and you can see the amount of focus that BWG's players had on just making sure to put all of the pressure onto Slowy, so that Slowy didn't have the luxury of just standing up. Hello, KFL. Yak just ran directly into the arch, thought better of it, but unfortunately did enough to give his position away, and this is going to be really rough for KFL, as Riemann was down. It looked like they wanted to try to rotate to the shop that BWG had taken up residence to maybe try and buy a Rebirth Charm, but that little look around the doorway gave the position to BWG, and as a result they were able to collapse onto these players and catch them fully. Lexan's gonna go down to the zone corruption tick damage, but this should still be BWG able to just net together 2 additional kills picked up from the side of them. Have to be careful that they didn't go a little bit too aggressive though, because it's not just Lexan who goes down to the zone, it's Bajin as well.
Yeah, and worrying about X and B there, they're the reason they're in the north side, so now it's up to the hidden factor. WK Gaming, though, having around 10 eliminations so far, running into Sand Siphon, 2 gold armors, and having ultimates on standby for all their teammates. 8 grapples so far for Temi, but they're still going to go for the chase out of Rez in the zone from Zay.
Oh, he's been spotted.
Can't do anything about it. Gonna have to die out here if he... Oh, missed the grapple.
Oh, he missed the grapple. He dies to zone. No!
Okay, listen, folks. 11 points. Maybe 11 or 12 to 13. No, 13.5 potentially for their placement and whatnot. That gives them a good sense of 55.6. Still closing in, but I don't know. We're gonna have to see into the standings. We're gonna have the champion graphic later on to see about it, guys, to see who's actually gonna be coming through here as first place and the second place as well. But WK taking their fights out here. Dragon War coming after a double parry as WK having that no loss position. They find the fan to be picked up here. There's the F1 wisp. There's the RMBs. WK turning around XB, having that F parasol to come out here from the Kurumi. Another stance for the RMBs. Dodges that V2. Bokai putting for goal focus. Looking to try to go for the omnidirectionals. And having that goal focus spammed out again. Tizzy T looking for the backline. Sees that Zai wants to focus it. In the meantime, Jin Chen is on to Noob right now. And that's gold armor versus blue over there. So where it comes out here, the burns are going to be the biggest aspect that gives Zai a little bit more trouble. Bokai on Stoneform gets caught by the last frame hit of the Wisp. Stoneform proc again. Blistering Edge reveal. Wind Blast to the Wind Blast. And that's going to be the elimination. WK catches that elimination. That's 13 eliminations that they have into this round. And that's actually going to be between WK and the final team. X and B's Noob is going to be the one final teammate, but there's probably a party of 2 just chilling out to the game. There goes Noob. Very low-key final round here. See, everyone kind of the W keyed here into this game.
So WK are on 14 kills.
Yeah,
If they get
15. Oh,
the
14, yeah, 14.
multiplier, then they potentially qualify. I'm not sure how close the scoreboard was for them. I know that they were in the top half of it, though.
Hold on. According to my calculations.
Oh, we're
Let me do
doing
the math real
live
quick in the
maps?
background.
Oh, no. We're doing live maps. Folks, the number one rule in all of casting is never do live maps.
I'm doing it.
Wait, I think
I'm doing it.
it's a 3 versus 1 versus 1.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Because here's Hypercube's Taliska. Just trying to get a better score for Hypercube and potentially just the third party. One of the fights going down. I'm not sure who is left on the other team. It was Hex. It was Hex's Sachiko. And I think Taliska is just going to get the go-ahead to die to zone corruption damage.
Yeah, we're chilling.
Yeah.
Bias commentary. Best player.
That's how game number 6 is going to end. Of the Shadowjade EU Trio
Don't tell me.
qualifier
Don't give it to him.
Wait.
Please. All
No,
right.
Tizzy whiffed. Tizzy didn't manage to land the musket shots. Taliska dies to zone. Well, it's not quite with a bang, but with a little bit of a whimper. That being said, the true bang effect is going to be when we see the scoreboard, because I don't know who's in the top 2. Serve doesn't know who's in the top 2. We'll be finding out real soon.
Yeah, because KFL, I mean, hopefully to see into the replays, if we get some positions of seeing through there, it's going to be a chance of walking through there of like the matches to happen in the replays. Because listen, Hex had their chances of being third. They still didn't get enough points to earn out. Hypercube, though, I mean, I'm looking at the standings. I want to look at this overall because they were in third, but they had like a plus 10 plus kill game. Risk Takers had some points, 3 points to be earned out, and they're at 66.6 or something of that nature. KFL were also into the high standings, and it's really close between them. But BWG, I think I calculated, I think they got around with a 11 eliminations. They got 53 points, and that still doesn't surpass KFL's point bars. But we're going to go for the replays, guys. Having like a look and see about what's going to be happening from that round and just going through our memory banks because there was a lot to unpack here, right? Risk Predator coming out, having to go for horizontals, go for the releases, go for the crouch LMBs, and Mado having his option selection. But the first Rami Yang was the most explosive fight that was obviously going to come out here for WK to get a huge superseded lead. And on top of that, like you mentioned, that Mystic Might or the Spirit Well on top of that Rami Yang just forced out fights outside of Azov Peak.
Yep, here we can see WK managing to take the fight against Hypercube. This is the second round of Yang fight coming on through Bajin with a huge hit of that blistering edge into the horizontal sweep of that pulse. So this was BWG's target priority on absolute point, managing to make sure that the Aurora Burst was taken out of the equation. KFL's Yak, unfortunately, looks like he goes down to poison splashes. There is Taliska going down to the zone corruption tick damage and denying the kill from coming through. However, we have now got confirmation Hypercube, Chili, No Sense, and Kanghai are going to be your Shadowjade Cup 2024 champions. They are guaranteed to get to go to China at the end of the year and participate and represent the region. And alongside them, it is going to be KFL Risk Takers. Oh no!
Oh my god.
Point one.
Oh my god.
Point one was in it. So if you were around for solos, you know that it was a 0.3 that was in between second and third. Trios has somehow come along and trumped that. Oh, that is going to be so painful.
Bro, I know Creditor is throwing a pen across the table. I know Rustum's throwing a Wayshawn ultimate somewhere around there, man. That's close, yo. Bias commentary coming in here in just a second. That's absolutely correct, like for the case, and that's what the multiplier is kind of working out for that first place, creating such a close gap. Because if it wasn't with multipliers, right, we know that's going to be a 0.5 differences between that or a whole point at the very minimum. And now having those two games where they got first in terms of the multiplier, it's just like it closed in, and there's going to be a chance of hoping to see if we can catch an opportunity of, talking with one of the teams, because I know Hypercube getting that first place, they're feeling good about it, and they're going to be able to go to China for the player base, and then trying to represent Hypercube and trying to represent EU alongside with KFL. Now, KFL has former champions with Ryoman, who was here last year with Team IDK, trying to go forth, seeing how he's going to operate with this team, because they're going to be going ballistic in terms of in the seat when they saw these standings and seeing how close it was between them and Risk from the replays or even from the score sheet as it can get updated for you guys. But for everything coming out here, going to see about whether or not we have a chance of getting a chance to talk with the players. Probably not. However, it is going to be a good presence of knowing whether or not these guys are going to be coming through. So with everything coming out, first round was where we were able to see that Super City League coming into play, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, trying to give you guys a good understanding about what we're talking about. We're talking about a 25-point game from BWG, right? That was kind of where the precedence of like, okay, what's working out here? And that was a Takeda with White Sacrifice with Tianhai. Everyone saw round 2 is like, okay, let's take a chill pill around that. But then round 3, round 4 hit. The Tianhai's kind of operated in a more better fashion that shouldn't have worked necessarily, but it did. And it worked out tremendously for the team to capture those multipliers that we saw from Risk, as well as with what we saw from KFL. And they took it into the Morris round 3 with KFL, where they weren't going to be contested, even with the mitigation into round 4. We saw Risk do the same exact thing into that close-pocketed fight. Now we head into the Morris Isle night fight. We saw all the players kind of working off of the Viper ultimates, and then the unexpected PSA comp coming through, but it was just a rotation and back and forth between PSA, between BWG, between WK. A lot of opportunities for the teams to try to say who done it, who's going to be the last one that activates the hit, and who's going to get the last elimination. But now into that Morris night, we went into event-side time towards Midoriya, and to force out these fights, it's just something to kind of look forward to.
I mean, we just saw regression. We saw the most aggressive match that we've ever seen come through on that last game, because all of these teams, they knew that that was going to be their one and only opportunity. They didn't want to have it come down to 1 kill, and yet come down to 1 kill it unfortunately did. Really unlucky for all of the teams who weren't able to make that second and first position, but huge congratulations to the teams that were able to. I cannot wait to see how they are going to do when they do head over to CN. The ability and opportunity to be able to learn from all of the MVPL players, as well as get to watch the meta and the macro develop inside that region, influences and betters our entire region as EU for the entire next part of the year. So cannot wait to see what Naraka Esports is going to be able to gain from that one.
Yep. It's going to